Love is always in the air with our unmatched free lifetime warranty, everyday competitive prices, and no-pressure shopping experience. Come see us in-store and at shaneco.com. Shane Company, your friend and jeweler.
Just Cause Legal knows the value of standing up for what's right. If you've been involved in a car crash, Just Cause Legal is here to fight for you with an aggressive team dedicated to securing the compensation you deserve. Just Cause Legal makes the process as painless as possible. Don't wait. Time is critical. Get the help needed today. Visit justcauselegal.com or call 253-859-8899 and meet your legal lifesavers. Just Cause Legal. Fighting for you.
Protein, protein, protein. Everyone is trying to get protein in their diet, but we need fats too. Healthy fat, that is, like the rich, natural peanut and almond butters found at G2G protein bars. Most bars don't have it because, well, most bars aren't real food or refrigerated. Fortunately for you, we aren't most bars. At G2G, you'll find a balanced helping of protein and healthy fat. The fact that they're delicious is just the bonus. They're fast, easy, and perfect for on-the-go families. G2G protein bars. Find them in the refrigerator.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma.
Get his freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Ewert is my hero.
Jay Buhner just punched me in the kidney.
We're going to accuse you of menace.
Doesn't really work that way, Sherm. This is a show that has my name on it.
It kind of does, though.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Ewert and Mike Salk.
Hello, good morning. Hi, everybody. It's a Brock and Salk show on Seattle Sports on 710, seattlesports.com. Of course, the Seattle Sports app as well, and all the podcast platforms. It's already Tuesday. Have you submitted your Here's the Thing for this week yet? Make sure you do that. I was so remiss last week, Maura, and I thought to myself all day yesterday, please remember to tease Here's the Thing on Thursday and how you got to go download the app.
Late last week.
I know.
So
and I still forgot. So I'm putting it out there today.
I appreciate that you're putting it all on yourself.
Thank you. I'll try.
People know it's every week.
You would like to think.
Give us a message.
Look, I'll blame the people for not downloading the app because that's just absurd. Like, I'm not going to take responsibility if you haven't downloaded the app. I don't even know what to tell you. I just don't understand how you haven't downloaded this app yet. It's the easiest thing in the world to do, and then you have access to all of our content in all of its forms right on your phone in a nice, handy way. So download the Seattle Sports app. But once you do that, I will take some level of responsibility for trying to make sure that you remember to leave us a message for Here's the Thing. Because, look, Danny and a couple of these other folks who have done it over and over again, they're great. I love them. And honestly, they've really made this bit come alive. But we need more. I mean, I'd like to hear from just, non-regulars. People who just have something to say one week. Sometimes you're bothered by something. Sometimes you're struck or amused by something you hear. Just hit the little button there on the app and you can leave us a message for Here's the Thing. So let's start. I'll just give you guys a little update on the dad that pushed the two referees. So I was over at the Iceplex last night for Cecily's hockey practice, which keeps me there for longer than you might imagine because I choose to stay and I work on the show for the next day. I go upstairs. There's a nice working area. So I was there from 5:15 to 7:30 last night. Yeah, don't ask. It's a long time. But that gave me a lot of opportunity to chat with different parents. First thing is, I
took up your whole weekend and then had you right back at it on Monday?
Oh, yeah. Kind of how it goes, Maura. That's life of a dad. That's how.
Kids,
that's
I don't understand these
that's things. The thing. Yeah. So I as we were walking in, King 5 reporter there, right, doing a whole news report. And so minutes later, I got a text from my mom being like, oh, my God, this is on the national news. I'm seeing it down here in Arizona. It definitely took off and is now sort of turning itself into a major news story. So I talked to a whole bunch of different parents. As you can imagine, everybody was abuzz with the conversation. And first of all, found out that one of Cecily's teammates' brothers was actually on the ice as the incident occurred, which I did not realize. So, and her father was there, so I got a little bit more information from their side of it. A couple of things. The background of it, because I think it's fair. is that behind the play, these two kids started fighting. How serious was the fight? I don't know. But the rules at this age in hockey say that if you fight, you are immediately tossed from the game and you miss the next game. Those are the rules. And they're pretty cut and dry. And I talked to another parent of a referee who's like, oh, yeah, my daughter had to throw a couple people out this year. And it's just part of the game. It's just part of that. That's the rule. If you fight, you're out of that game and you're out of the next game. So, okay. As soon as these two kids started fighting, that's what happened. The dad who ended up on the ice, you know, my assumption is he felt like it was the other kid who started the whole thing and was upset that his kid was going to end up not just missing the rest of this game, but the next game as well. Is that a good excuse? Absolutely not.
Well, I saw have the Como news story up, and he told the police that his son was punched and kicked for about 30 seconds, and the referees did nothing. So he went on the ice to defend his son.
Yeah.
Which you can clearly see in the video. There was no active fight going on at that moment.
Well,
and the police
right.
said there's no evidence that supports that from what they can tell so far.
Yeah, watching the video and talking to people, it does sound like, and this may be a problem for youth referees, that they were at the end of the ice where the action was, where the play was, not at the end of the ice behind it. You know, sometimes fights and stuff develop behind the play.
So maybe what he said could have happened earlier.
It is, well, there's Live Barn footage of it. So Live Barn is the streaming service for all this. So they have footage of the whole thing. You can watch, I think they've removed it now, but they have a full tape of footage from the rink. So anything like that will be determined. But my understanding is that there was not one kid getting punched over and over again, that there was a little bit of a tussle. After that, I mean, everything's been cleared by the time he comes out on the ice. And from what I understand, there's a little confusion as to how he got on the ice, but most likely through the bench. So there's a door that is often open and probably should be closed to the bench from the sideline. And at the rink they're on, everyone's just sort of standing around the rink. There's no stands there. So everyone just stands kind of around the rink with their face up to the glass watching. So for him to get into the bench probably is not that difficult. It's not locked, even if it's closed. And in all likelihood, it may not have been closed. I don't know. In any event, he apparently said something as he went onto the ice because he came on fairly calmly. And by all accounts, he said something about either needing to fix the kid's helmet or fix equipment or tie a skate, but something that is not a good enough reason to be out on the ice, but is a lot different from I'm going out on the ice to punch somebody.
They didn't feel threatened at the moment.
Right. It was just sort of like, whoa, okay, well, you know, maybe kids hurt. Sometimes parents feel the need to run onto a court or an ice rink or whatever. In any event, obviously that's not what happened because as he strides across, he goes and he pushes the two referees, knocks them down. It does sound like he will be charged, but in all likelihood, it will be a misdemeanor assault. I don't know all the reasons why. I'm not a lawyer, but I'll see if I can find out more over the course of the day. But by all accounts, it does sound like it'll most likely end up just being an assault of a misdemeanor assault. Will there be lawsuits? I would imagine. And if I were the families of either of these two kids, I would imagine that's going to be on the table. From the Hockey Association, this is from the Pacific Northwest American Hockey Association president, Jody Carpenter. She says, effective immediately, the individual involved has been suspended from all participation in any USA Hockey sanctioned activity within the jurisdiction of PNAHA. This includes attending or participating in games, practices, or any other USA Hockey sanctioned events. The suspension remains in effect pending the outcome of an investigation and a U.S. Hockey Bylaw 10 hearing. I'm not sure what that means, but my understanding would be that would be, you know, once they have the hearing, it's hard to imagine how that is going to end this suspension. That will probably end up being permanent.
Yeah, I think there'd be some outrage if that was the case.
But you have to go through this process. And I know there's people like, why are you doing an investigation? Like, Well, so that you dot all the I's and cross all the T's so that he doesn't have a lawsuit later to say, I was banned and you never even conducted a hearing. You've got to go through all of this. We live in a litigious society, so you definitely want to make sure that he is the person who's being sued, not the person who gets to sue. So I think they're handling this very well, very carefully, and a suspension, barring the effects of a hearing, barring the outcome of a hearing, is exactly what I think you want to do. Two other things that have come out. One, and this came from a different, I forget who this was. I saw this, but I think it might have come from Snohomish, is an idea they had where they gave any minors who were doing the game, refereeing games, green whistles and put up signs that said, remember, if the whistles are green and they're like neon green, then the ref's under 18. And they said it was incredibly helpful at curbing the complaints of and abuse of officials. That ultimately helped parents realize, hey, you're not paying for professional officials out here in a 14U game.
But it sounded, because your daughter practices there, it sounded like you were aware, like most of the parents are aware that these are teenagers.
They are,
right?
but
Do you think there was, and this guy's also three times their size.
Yep.
It's hard for me to believe he didn't know.
I'm sure he did, but I think that visual reminder has served to be helpful in some way to just keep people in a little bit better headspace. Yeah. So I like that idea. I think it's a good one. Not my biggest concern. One concern I have here is that, and this is always a concern, is that one idiot ruins that for everybody, right? And I did hear stories yesterday of parents saying, yeah, my kids play in a game where no one's allowed to watch. No one's allowed there. This wasn't hockey. I think it was basketball. But they say, yeah, no one can come in. We just do it on video. So the kids play in an empty gym. They play their game in an empty gym. And all the parents get to watch on video. Come on, man. You got to be kidding me. That's just brutal. Now, there's one other thought here, and I don't know what to make of this. This is from somebody who tweeted at me named Mark Dooley, and I think it's an interesting thought. I can't speak to the truth of it. He says it's good that the adult is facing repercussions, but next is the league, which needs to address two young kids reffing a game together. There absolutely has to be an adult working the game with them. This isn't that uncommon. The odds are that these were house refs and friends with the home team. It's an interesting idea. I hadn't thought about it. Yes, I do think they often have house refs, right? Refs that also play in that same facility. And it is very possible they had been teammates with one of the kids who was involved or the players that are on the home team. That's possible. I don't know whether that's enough of a reason for anyone. I mean, I know it's not enough of a reason for anybody to come out on the ice, but it is worth looking at. I also think it's a rec league, and chill out. Like, okay, so like these kids are learning how to be refs. They're learning how to deal with, with the challenges of being.
Oh yeah, no, I thought he meant that other ref should be out there just to, I guess.
No,
there would have been an adult out there with them. As far as how the game's being called, yeah, no, like you said, it's a rec league, and these kids, it's a learning experience for those kids that are reffing as well.
100%. I think he may have a good point that there could be, one youth, one adult. That's fine. Like I don't necessarily disagree with that, but to say that, well, the calls were all going for the home team, so somebody had to take action, and not that he's saying that. That's ridiculous.
Well, and this dad wasn't even mad about a call. He says they didn't break up a fight quickly enough, according to him. Which to me, if it's fair, if you feel like your kid was about to get injured and it went on too long or something, but you talk to the adults involved. You don't go shove a couple of kids.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. So that's all the latest. Just trying to give you guys an update on it. It is now apparently a big national story and good on the news organizations. I guess Good Morning America was trying to contact parents who were there. And so it's definitely taking off. And I'm sure we'll learn a whole lot more about this over the next few days. Most of today, though, is going to be spent talking about football and baseball. And we'll do some of that next on Brock and Salk.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
We are now speaking with the architect of your Seattle Seahawks.
How we doing, football fans?
With Seahawks President of Football Operations and General Manager John Schneider.
My job is to do what's best for the Seattle Seahawks organization. I have to keep wrapping my mind around that and trying to communicate effectively.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
What's the standard the Seahawks defense needs to be held to under Mike McDonald?
The John Schneider Show.
Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it.
Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power charging that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 to learn more. With AutoPay plus taxes and fees, plus $5 per line without AutoPay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Motorola Edge on us with 24 monthly bill credits and new line for well-qualified customers, plus tax and $35 per line connection charge. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Charger sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
Jake was suffering from osteoarthritis when his doctors asked him to consider surgery.
However, there's a 9-month recovery period where essentially you're not walking and you're not putting much in the way of weight on.
That wasn't going to work for him, so he decided to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine for stem cell therapy.
I heard the ads, and that caused me to do due diligence.
And how are you doing now?
There's not really any pain now at all. I have no limitations in what I want to do.
Wow, so you're able to do anything you want to do?
I recently played golf at Cycle House down in Pebble Beach, walked 18 holes, which I hadn't been able to do for a number of years, and then went for about a 2-mile walk with my friend.
I take it you'd recommend stem cell therapy to others then?
Absolutely. Had I known then what I know now, I would have done this several years ago and saved myself a lot of pain and suffering and agony and limitation to activity.
Before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
Bring on the sunshine with a trip to see your Seattle Mariners. Come to sunny and warm Peoria, Arizona for another great year of spring training baseball. There's no better time to wind up at the Peoria Sports Complex where you can see all your favorite Mariners up close. Spring training in Peoria has plenty of sunshine, warm temperatures, and the best seats in baseball. It's family fun for all ages. Book your trip today. Support your Seattle Mariners in Arizona for another exciting spring training season. Get your tickets at PeoriaBaseball.com.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Being young with unlimited energy to burn. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
All guys lose their edge when they turn 40. The body has less testosterone. That's why I take Nugenix Total T.
I've heard about Nugenix. That really works?
Since I started taking Nugenix, I'm lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. I feel more energized at work. It's even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try?
Yep, send a text. It's that easy.
Text GRIT to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text GRIT to 42424. That's GRIT to 42424. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hey, Bill! Got a leak? Need heat? Call Southwest today.
Southwest Plumbing, the one to call.
Our friends at Mazda of Everett always offer you their lowest price. Shop over 800 new Mazdas online at MazdaofEverett.com. Click on Get the Mazda of Everett price for their best deal. Shop MazdaofEverett.com or stop in and meet our friends at Mazda of Everett located in Everett at 11409 Highway 99. If you're shopping for a new car, make sure our friends at Mazda of Everett are on your list.
Hi, Justin Shirley, CEO of State Roofing and Exteriors. With thousands of full replacements with expert craftsmanship and unbeatable warranties, we've been building roofs you can trust for over 5 decades. It's more than just a job, it's our promise to you. Protect your investment with a free Golden Pledge warranty on all GAF roof replacements over $15,000. Call 866-ROOF-ROOF or visit stateroofing.com today to schedule a free estimate. State Roofing and Exteriors, held to a higher standard since 1968.
You're free now. Free to stream beyond your wildest dreams.
Rom-coms, slasher-coms, space operas.
Free to fill your feed with impossibly chunky chunkers.
Cats, corgis, babies on demand.
Free to make your smart devices do silly things.
Bowl of chips on the Robo-Vacuum.
Free to open a world of remote work and Gametopia.
Who's the boss now?
Free to be everything you imagine. That's how it feels to have Quantum Fiber Internet. Your world unleashed. Learn more at quantumfiber.com.
Limited availability, service in select locations only.
Overburdened with a bunch of stuff you don't want anymore, but feel bad throwing it away? John here with Happy Hauler, Seattle's eco-friendly junk removal. We prioritize donating and recycling. We'll help get your items to those in need instead of going to the landfill. At Happy Hauler, we pride ourselves on responsibility, community, and sustainability. We're a family-run small business that provides junk removal, donations, and recycling. Make yourself, your community, and the planet happy. It's time to reclaim your space. HappyHauler.com, hauling with a heart.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
All right, football now in the rearview mirror. So, baseball ready to take center stage. Hot stove? Well, it's not hot anymore. Alex Bregman's the lone big name left on the market. Sounds like he could choose where he's going, maybe even as soon as today. Red Sox, Tigers, Cubs seem to be the likely short list for a short-term deal. Still confused as to why his market dropped off the way he did. I think he's a really productive player, makes any team better. Maybe it's just a case of Boris trying to get too much, but man, I would really, really like to have Alex Bregman on my team. Mariners pitchers and catchers report this week. They've got their first workout on Thursday. A name I want to mention a few times today is Brian Wu. He's one of the players I'm most excited to hear from. Want to learn about his offseason, want to learn about his health. I just getting him to be a full-time, no-limitation starter would be a big deal. And we saw some of that down the stretch last year. Baseball Reference has him projected for 130 innings. If he could throw 160 innings, that would be a major, major difference for this team this year, keeping him healthy and throwing deeper into games, especially if they do want to consider moving Luis Castillo along the way. So Brian Wu, interesting for me this year as kind of a swingman in terms of what this rotation could end up looking like, and we'll talk about that quite a bit more this morning.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Well, viewers apparently pretty excited about the rematch, maybe more so than we thought. The Super Bowl delivered record numbers for Fox on Sunday. 126 million people consumed the game. Nearly 15 million used the streaming service. Other than Fox, I think that was led by Tubi that had like 13.5 million. We'll get final details today. Fox conservatively projecting 126 watched. 131.2 million for the halftime show. Wow. And then a peak of 135 million in the second quarter. Considering it was a blowout and you didn't get the people tuning in just to see what happens, at the end of a crazy game, that's pretty impressive. And it does sound like people were into Kendrick Lamar, maybe more than some of the other middle-aged dudes on radio around the country would probably have you believe.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
After weeks of conversation about who to hire, what kind of scheme fits best, and then analyzing that choice to no end, we will finally get to meet Clint Kubiak today at a press conference this afternoon. New offensive coordinator set to be introduced, and then we will hear more about his plans for this offense. Biggest things I'm hoping to learn. Obviously, how do you plan to use the quarterback? What's the path to improving this offensive line? And then how will he play complementary ball, which is so important to this coach and to the style of team that it seems like he's trying to build. So looking forward to hearing more from Clint Kubiak today. And I believe he'll also be on with Bump and Stacy after that. I'm not sure on the timing yet, but my understanding is he will be on with them later today as well. There you go. That is everything you need to know. Quarter past every hour here on the Brock and Salk Show. More sent over ESPN Power Rankings for today. Seahawks 15th. I know that there's a lot of people that see like the verge of success here. 15th is a far cry from top 5. You could probably go back at it and look and see where the Eagles were last year. They might have been 15th too. So it's not like you can't come from 15 to 1 in the course of a year. You can. But you
especially with the offseason still ahead.
Absolutely. But 15th isn't 25th, that's for sure. But it's also not top 5. And I'm just going to keep having that conversation over and over again about good versus great. And I think the Seahawks have a lot of good on this team, a ton of good on this team. And I'll go through it at 7 o'clock. They have very few holes. They really do. I mean, offensive line, obviously, we'll talk about forever. Do they have any other position group that's an actual, like, net negative? I don't think so. Corner would maybe be next. You get some question marks there. But other than offensive line, they don't really have any net negatives on the team. The question is, how many dominant groups do they have? And when you look at the Eagles and you see 3, 4, 5, 6 of those, like, yeah, you got a lot of good. Where are you going to find the great to go from 15 up to the top 5 and really compete for a Super Bowl next year? We'll see. We'll see. I think there's a great conversation to be had about it. And we'll be chatting about it, of course, throughout this offseason. All right. You want to go around the station? There was a ton of great stuff. Super Bowl reaction, baseball preview yesterday between Bump and Stacy and Wyman and Bob and a couple other folks. I want to make sure we give you the best of what we heard on the station this week. We'll do it next on Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710, seattlesports.com.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
It sure seems like Geno Smith will be back with the Seahawks in 2025. Two things we heard this weekend that tell us that. First, Mike McDonald's interview with Fox 13.
Geno's our quarterback. I don't understand the conversation.
Tom Pelissero had this to say.
The Seahawks appear to be all in on Geno Smith for 2025.
To me, it's obvious. Geno has to be the guy. You're in a position where you're not going to draft time. You can't still get a quarterback late and hope you develop. But Geno has showed he can win you some ball games.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Xfinity here. How can we help?
Hi. My daughter invited her entire class to her birthday party. Can my Wi-Fi handle it?
Oh, well, at Xfinity, our latest gateways have tri-band Wi-Fi technology, letting you connect hundreds of devices at once.
No way. So if all the kids are watching stuff on their phones, well, their parents are sharing videos online.
Yep, go ahead and watch videos. They can all do their thing and party their way. No problem.
Oh, we are gonna need a bigger cake.
Now through March 4th, get fast, reliable Xfinity Gig Internet for $25 a month for 1 year with no annual contract and Wi-Fi equipment included when you add an unlimited mobile line. And ask how to get an eligible free 5G phone with trade-in. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Requires PayPal and auto-pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced mobile speeds after use of monthly data included with your data option. Data thresholds and actual internet speeds vary.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting truly great candidates for your roles? It seems impossible to find them, but they have to be out there somewhere, right? Well, they're not hard to find when you know where to go, and that place is ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. And because these people are actively looking for jobs just like yours, it's easy to find the right person right away. In fact, 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter, you're missing out. So see what it's like when the impossible is easy. When you go to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try ZipRecruiter for free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
Washington's biggest night out for sports is the annual Sports Star of the Year Awards. Join the Seattle Sports Commission for the 90th anniversary of Sports Star and experience red carpet interviews on Media Row, a champions gallery of sports memorabilia, and a live awards show created for the sports community by the sports community. Don't miss your chance to be among the stars on February 27th at the 90th annual Sports Star of the Year Awards, presented by Microsoft. Get your tickets now at seattlesports.org.
We are Seattle Sports, the home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Watch your favorite show live at seattlesports.com.
We meet by accident, fixing every last bit, accurate auto body.
If you've been in an auto accident, you have the right to take your vehicle to any repair facility. Accurate Auto Body has been family owned and operated since 1994, and they work for you, not your insurance company. Your insurance company may not love them, but you will, because
We meet by accident, fixing every last bit, accurate auto body.
Over 200,000 people were displaced by the recent Southern California fires. The road to recovery is slow, but your generosity is making a difference. G. Scott here. Together with your donations, Safeway and Albertsons were able to raise $5 million to help with food, shelters, and financial assistance. Organizations like the Pasadena Community Foundation, Pasadena Humane Society, Red Cross, and Salvation Army will benefit. My friends at Safeway asked me to thank you for your generosity and support.
Pacific Power Batteries sells batteries for cars and boats and RVs and golf carts and generators and some electronics. But why us? Two reasons. We sell freshly charged batteries that we test before we install them. Starting with a snappy new battery is good. Second thing is that our salespeople are up to date on what's new, what's a good value, and what works. Our job is giving you good battery options. So come on into Pacific Power Batteries, freshly charged batteries, and freshly educated staff selling batteries for everything.
Take your game day experience to the next level with a Mariners Suite. Suites are perfect for birthdays, anniversaries, client meetings, and that company outing you've been trying to plan for months. Enjoy first-class catering, VIP parking, custom setups for 14 to 400 people, and more, all with the help of a dedicated Mariners rep. Suites start at $125 per person, and season ticket members get 15% off. Reserve now at mariners.com/suites.
Munoz strikes out the side, and the ball game is over.
Brock and Salk's Rewind is presented by Toyota of Kirkland.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
The Rewind today will be in around the station, around Seattle Sports segment. I hate to use that word segment. You guys even know what that means if you're listening? It's a segment. That's what we call like the time between breaks, right? So for the next 25 minutes will be a segment. Anyway, we're going to go around Seattle sports, and there was some great stuff, as there always is, from the other shows here. Bump and Stacy and Wyman and Bob. We got some football. We got some baseball. We got some Seahawks. We got some Mariners. Let's start with the Seahawks, and we'll start with Bump and Stacy, and a little comp on what the Seahawks should take away from the Super Bowl winning Eagles.
Everyone should be looking at the Philadelphia Eagles at this point. A second-round quarterback just won a Super Bowl. You go and get Saquon Barkley. The Giants got to be sick right now, and you're sprinkling all this young talent who's going to be here in the near future. It's just impressive to watch them do what they do, and they did it. It was a team win, from their kicker to the O-line, D-line, quarterback, wideouts. Your two baller wideouts made a play. Your tight end made a couple of big plays. Saquon just kept you in the fight. It was like he's on the ropes, just swinging, saying, look, we're just going to wait for our opening and we're going to knock you out. It was a team win and a well-executed plan by Kellen Moore. I wonder what he's going to look like in New Orleans.
In terms of lessons to be taken from Philly, mine is twofold. Number one, it's okay to go for obvious talent. Like, there are not many names on this list of talent that they added that were like super under the radar, diamond in the rough type moves, right? Jalen Carter was an obvious talent. Saquon Barkley was an obvious talent. They just had to make decisions on to whether or not to take them, whether or not to pay them. So that's the first one. The second is just please focus on the trenches. Yeah. Those are the two lessons for me.
And get it right. Like, you got to get it right. You can try. And we give them props for trying every year because they draft offensive linemen.
Sure.
But you got to get it right now.
Yes. Let's just play that whole minute and 17 seconds again, and maybe we just put it on loop for the rest of the show. Like, yes to all of that. Starting with Bump, yes, team win. He was mostly focused on the offense, but we could do the exact same thing for the Eagles defense, right? Team win for them too. The way they work together and the way the different levels of that defense function in harmony, yes, team win. That's why I kept saying yesterday that I felt like they were one of the better Super Bowl winning teams we've seen because of the completeness of what they did. But you could certainly use the word teamwork. You could certainly use, chemistry, whatever word you want to choose. It was dominant because they were ferocious everywhere and essentially without major weakness. So I totally agree with Bump. Yes, 100%. Stacey's 2 takeaways. 1, obvious talent. Yeah, I can't argue it. That one is if I were to pick nits with anything in that minute and a half there, that would probably be the one thing. Like, obvious talent can be a little bit misleading in the NFL, right? Especially older obvious talent. When you say, well, it's Julio Jones. Like, of course he's going to be good. Well, at some point he's not good anymore. And oftentimes that point comes a lot sooner than you think in the NFL. But you shouldn't discount a player just because you know his name. And I would say that Saquon is an excellent example of that. Yeah, there was one under the radar guy. Zach Bond is sort of like their one under the radar guy that they hit on. But Stacey's right. For the most part, Jalen Carter was a pretty obvious pick then. In fact, well, whatever.
Well, and I think that they've hit enough with some of their more obvious decisions that it gives them a little leeway to do things that I probably wouldn't want the Seahawks to do right now, like go after a Mekhi Becton who was a former high draft pick that wasn't working out.
Right.
Was a guy with the Jets that had gained weight. They maybe labeled him lazy. And they turn him around, and he's a big part of their offensive line.
Because they had, 3-4 guys that they already trusted. So, hey, if this works out, great. And if not, yeah, we trust our system.
I wouldn't want the Seahawks to do something like that this year.
They can't. Because
but once you start hitting on all of those, you can do those things.
That's a good point. You've got a good system in place for allowing you to take a risk now and again, but it's mitigated because you've got other options that you trust. So you can go for the big time. Hey, if this Mekhi Becton thing works out, it's going to be awesome. If it doesn't, I trust our system, and we've got the next guy up who's going to be ready to go because we've been churning out offensive linemen here in a positive system for years. You're right. The Seahawks don't have that luxury, and that's what brings you along to the final part of it. Bump is that is something that needs to be said more often. What he said, it's not about effort. At a certain point, it's not about effort. It's not about, hey, we tried to fix the offensive line. We invested in the offensive line. It's not just about the effort. It's about the success. You have to actually succeed in finding the right guys. I do think that there is a bit of luck involved with finding the right guys in the draft, even with free agency in all sports, and maybe even more so in football with the draft. But ultimately, it is, while we can talk about process, it is still results-based. And you got to get that position right because it's that important. So Stacey's absolutely on point. It's about the trenches. We know that. Everybody knows it. It's just a matter of actually committing to do it. And then Bump is absolutely right when he says, hey, cool that you tried. I give you credit for trying, but it's more than that. You've got to actually succeed. Here's why I think they don't often. Here's Mark Schlereth from Rich Eisen.
I think that's another thing, Rich, it's so important about building a team. It's also understanding. It's like San Francisco does a great job of understanding what they want at the linebacker position. And then everybody they go after and draft, they can all run. They're all kind of built the same way. They're all like, hey, man, here's the prototypical guy, right? And they fill that in, and every guy looks the same, whether it's Al Shire when he was there, whether it's Greenlaw, it's all those guys kind of look and have that same athletic trait and that same athletic ability. I think that's one of the things to really understand what we are, what we want at each individual position. And then we go after that and plug in football players. I always say this about the draft and about, free agency in general is that football players are football is really hard for athletes. It's easy for football players. And the problem with a lot of teams in the draft is they get enamored by athletes, and I'm fascinated by football players, and it's easy to tell the difference on film.
Athletes versus football players. It's great. He's absolutely right again. Right. And I hear in that something similar to what I was saying. Just stop getting enamored with people that play positions that aren't as important because they're great athletes. Just got to make choices based on the value of those positions. And I think it's a problem you see throughout the NFL all the time.
Well, to me, that I hear that, and I also hear that you maybe shouldn't be completely married to the idea of best available and just whatever position that is. Maybe you do need to think about that, what positions you need and the fit a little bit more.
And which positions are going to pay the most dividends for you? Mm-hmm. Which positions are going to actually be leverage, are going to change the success rate of your football team? Yeah. Yes, that too. Here's some Wyman and Bob also talking about learning from the Eagles and trying to emulate that.
Maybe they do take another defensive lineman there. They're going to take
Jaron Reed's a free agent, right?
Jay Reed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if maybe they're going to look to bring in his replacement. Or I don't know if they want to bring him back or.
Yeah.
So it feels like there's an opening. Point being there could be, all right, we need somebody possibly to occupy this spot because we didn't re-sign him. We want to go younger or whatever may be the case there.
Yeah, but I think that's the emphasis there. I mean, as much as you need offensive linemen, I mean, that's just going to make your defense so much better. I'm kind of against it because they already not burned, but they used a first-round pick on Byron Murphy. They used a lot of money on Big Cat, Leonard Williams, to have him, get him locked up. And, and now he's a good team guy. He's taken the restructure, all that stuff. And, yeah, I don't think now I would be adverse to them, using that first pick. What is it, 16 or 18? 18 on a defensive tackle. You see how important it was. And even if your guy's getting double teamed, you're giving guys, and we've got some good edge rushers, you're giving guys like Josh Sweat an opportunity to get sacks, get home. And, again, if you can get pressure with 4, you're dropping 7.
Yeah.
I mean, anytime that you are blitzing or bringing 5 or 6 or sometimes even 7, you don't have anybody in coverage. And they were able to do that. And that's what, I think kind of tripped up Mahomes a little bit.
Yeah. Can we just agree with everything today? I mean, like, the thing that's really most, that jumps out most is just how simple a lot of this sounds. Doesn't mean it's simple to actually, doesn't mean it's as simple to actually put into place. But this is pretty simple. Yeah, draft big people. Yeah, when you dominate up front, you have the opportunity to dominate football games. When you can get pressure with 4, you can drop 7. When you've got game wreckers in the middle of your defense, it allows guys like Josh Sweat to come up with 2.5 sacks in the Super Bowl. Good player, maybe even very good player, but Josh Sweat's not an elite player. He's a good player. But when you've got Jalen Carter and you've got the rest of those guys inside, you're allowing someone like him a whole lot more freedom of movement. And then he succeeds. And that can work both ways. If you've got dominant guys outside, it can help you inside. So yes, I would have no problems whatsoever with another defensive lineman. That could be one of two things. That could be an edge rusher. And I mean like a big time, this guy's going to be a star edge rusher. Love what Boye does. Love what Derek Hall does. Neither of them, from what I've seen, are that. Neither of them are in the Myles Garrett range. I don't know if you can find that at 18. I'm not suggesting you can. But Myles Garrett's out there potentially in a trade. So if you want to use your first-round pick to get somebody who changes the game like he does, great. If it's not that, and what did you say Daniel Jeremiah said? He's got 40 offensive or defensive.
24 defensive tackles.
24.
With, starter grades.
Last year he had 12.
Yeah.
So he's doubled the number of starters he sees at defensive tackle. Okay, I got no problems going with another D tackle. If you do that, I think they need to be more in the game wrecker phase, more in the game wrecker mold than the you can't move him mold.
Well, it sounds like from everything we've heard so far that there are more game wrecker defensive linemen available in the first round than there are like interior offensive linemen, which is what the Seahawks really need.
Then that's what you got to do.
So as much as I want them to figure out the O-line, maybe you go second round for that. Don't force it if there's not the right offensive lineman there, and get an amazing defensive player.
And you also have the free agency. I mean, free agency is still an option for this team as well. Now, what can they do in free agency? That is going to be a little bit tricky because of the cap situation they found themselves in. I know Wyman and Bob yesterday talked to Michael Giannitti from Spot Track, and he said, yeah, they are in a little bit of a pickle. It does seem like they've got enough guys that they can cut if they need to, that they can get themselves out of it. But compared to Philadelphia, who just built this super team and somehow was totally under the cap, he explained some of the difference between the Seahawks and Eagles.
Seattle's got these high cap hits. Philadelphia doesn't. Philadelphia bakes into the cake the restructure, right? They use option bonuses and tons of signing bonuses to just say, we know this player is going to be here for 3 years. We're going to be restructuring their contracts every year anyway. Let's just do it up front. Let's just build it in up front so that the cap hits are automatically low, whereas teams like Seattle have to sit here every February and March and say, all right, let's do this contract and this contract and this contract, and they take a more singular approach to that process.
Why isn't everyone doing that then? I maybe there's more to that story, but like, if the Eagles way allows you to not have to do the other stuff, why doesn't everyone do it? There's got to be a downside to it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I feel like I've heard contract experts talk before about how the Seahawks just don't like to have a lot tied up in the back end. They like to have most of the money towards the front. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either, but it sure seems like whatever the Eagles are doing is working. It also feels though like as much as you can talk about cap, kind of being hard up against the cap right now, it's the NFL. The cap isn't that hard. And they've got a lot of people that we've talked about that are either potential cuts or take less money. Tyler Lockett, obviously the biggest name on that list, but it's not just him. Nwosu, Chenna Nwosu, and George Fant, and Noah Fant, and Jenkins, the safety, and gosh, there's a few more. Dre Jones. I mean, like, there's a lot of guys that at this point you would say their production probably is less than their cap figure. And so if they need money, it sure seems like there's a lot of ways they can do it.
Well, and one thing you mentioned, because you're talking about how it's crazy that the Eagles are so much further under. I'm looking at Spot Track, and the cap hit for Jalen Hurts in 2025 is only $21 million,
Crazy.
and Geno's is $44.
I mean,
so that's another area where if they are as committed to Geno as it sounds, it would benefit them to work out another deal.
Yeah, because you can start to lower that cap number, push it down the road. I mean, it'll again be a problem eventually, and I know the Seahawks don't like to have those problems eventually. But yeah, you may need to do something like that. If you're in go for it mode now, then go for it. I think that's the point I keep making. Like, if you're in go for it mode, then go for it. And I think that's the same thing a lot of Mariner fans have been saying about the Mariners. If you're in go for it mode, why aren't you going for it? Wyman and Bob excited to get down to spring training. They'll be there a couple weeks after us, maybe even a week after us. Who are they most looking forward to seeing?
To me, it's Victor Robles.
You're talking in spring training?
Yeah, when we report and squad reports, and we're down there and in Peoria. I don't think that they're necessarily relying on that, but I think if he did come through and he becomes the prospect that everybody thought he was, that could be a huge boost.
Yeah, I'm sort of reluctant to expect what we saw through an entire season. He was on a different level that he's not been on in his career. And
yeah, but
I feel like you're setting yourself up for disappointment or it's almost an unfair expectation. He was off the charts. He was ridiculous.
But that's the kind of prospect he was, right? I mean, he was. They had him ranked higher than Juan Soto.
Yeah, they did.
I mean,
coming out, but it's
crazy.
I guess I kind of look at it like Sam Darnold, just to bring it back to that favorite thing.
Yeah.
He's been one guy for this number of years. He had not even a full season of being the guy we saw last year. And this is, I feel like I'm knocking him. I loved Victor Robles. I loved that they re-signed him. I'm not going to put that expectation of 77 games that this is who he is moving forward. I got to see more of it. I think he is going to be better than what he was in Washington. I just don't know that he's a 393 on base guy, a guy who's going to hit 328. I think those numbers will come down a bit. He's going to be, in the 200s as far as average, and Hopefully the on base is still, 350-ish and above, but we'll see. I'm just not going to hold him to this standard, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, Sam Darnold's probably a pretty good comp. You're unlikely to be who you are at your very, very best forever. Here's the thing about Victor Robles and why I do like the signing and why I do think it's okay that they're counting on him to an extent this year. Style. He fits the style. I don't know whether he's a better player than a lot of the other right fielders that are, either playing in the league or would have been available this offseason. I mean, who's a better player? Would I rather have just in a vacuum Anthony Santander or Victor Robles? Probably rather have Santander. But who's a better fit for this team and the style that they seem to want to play and their strategy for finally trying to master this ballpark? Victor Robles. Because he can run, because he brings energy, because he gets on base, because he hits in, he's not just relying on big-time power. He seems to have something about him that works pretty well in this ballpark. Now, if you want the other side of that equation, he hasn't had to play in this ballpark in April and May and into June. He didn't show up here last year until after all of that. He got here once the weather was good. So your T-Mobile numbers without the awful months that not only hurt your numbers but also hurt your confidence and your swing and everything else, yeah, that's great. Let's see what happens when he's here in April and May and June. I think he will have more success than others, by the way. So that's not just wait, he's going to be terrible. I don't think that. But just let's go into this with eyes wide open. He hasn't had to go through the real challenge, the meat grinder that is T-Mobile Park in April and May and into June when the weather's colder and the winds are worse and everything else that we know is true. And this isn't this isn't fabricated. This isn't a guess. This is hard research that shows that stuff is true. So I am curious to see how he responds to that. The one thing I do know about Victor Robles, and I've heard from people inside the clubhouse, et cetera, he is not lacking for self-confidence. That as Victor was here in the early couple of weeks, if you remember, they picked him up and everyone's like, yeah, whatever, cool. And he didn't play. I mean, he got one or two at-bats in the first 3 weeks he was here. Kept walking around being like, put me in. I'll hit this guy. Oh, you scoring one run? I'll change that. And eventually he went out there and they're like, okay, fine, go play. And he did.
I like it.
And he did change that. So that level of confidence, I think, is going to be darn important in surviving April and May and into June here in this park. So that's sort of the full picture. I don't mean to kind of take both sides of it, but it's baseball. You don't know what the heck is going to happen. Victor Robles might come out and be the guy he was for 75 games last year, or he might come out and be the guy he was in Washington and stink. You don't know. Some reasons for hope definitely include his attitude and the style of play. Some reasons for questioning that have to do with his track record over a much longer time period than 75 games and the fact that he hasn't been here in those months. We'll see which one prevails. I would bet on Victor Robles. I think he's going to be pretty good. I'm with Bob. I don't know whether it's fair to expect him to play as well with as good a numbers as you saw last year when he's never done that before. But if you want to turn from being a good team into a great one, and that was part of the big picture conversation here, you need guys like Victor Robles to make that star turn. They've got to be better than expected. That's how you get great. Guys have to be better than expected. You also need guys to just live up to expectations.
Yeah.
But you generally need a couple of people to be better than expected. Luke Raley was that last year. He was better than expected. Victor Robles was better than expected. And that allowed them to, in some ways at least, make up for JP and Julio and the third base. Everybody else
was much better than expected for a month or two.
Oh my gosh, he was the best player in baseball for a month. So that allowed you to, in some ways, make up for those guys who were not as good as expected. Not enough, right? Because you only win 84 games. But it did help. Without it, just think where you would have been.
If you get a couple guys that are better than expected, and then you get more from your stars like Julio.
Again, this is what the Mariners are betting on.
If Polanco turns out to be what they thought originally, then you're looking pretty good.
This is what the Mariners are betting on more. You just made the argument that Jerry failed to make a week or two ago. That's the argument. That's what it looks like.
It feels like shaky ground, but it can happen.
Yeah.
Do you think we'll talk to Victor Robles at spring training? Robles?
It's a good question. I don't know why we wouldn't. Would you like to?
Yes, well, because I just remembered that he has those monkeys, and I want to hear more about it.
Oh, that's a good point.
Kikito and Kika.
Thank you for you just remember those names off the top of your head?
No, but I got excited. I was like, oh, we need to talk to him about his monkeys.
Better question. Do you think he brings the monkeys with him to spring training? Maybe you could meet the monkeys.
That would be fun.
Yeah. Not if he hears, though, about your cruelty to animals down in the desert last year. He may want to keep the monkeys away from you.
Accident.
Yeah. Well, that's what you say when you drop one of the monkeys, and then there's a problem going forward
I'm
for
not
the monkey.
swinging any golf clubs at spring training this year.
All right, well, we're going down just a couple of weeks. We do have some more spring training conversation this morning at 7:30. Before we get there, I do want to think back on a debate that Brock and I had yesterday and continue it with the big fella next. It's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710, seattlesports.com.
Blue 88 on Brock and Salk.
Brock, what is your bold prediction for the Seahawks this year?
I was looking at the numbers defensively when it was all said and done.
Every day at 7:45.
Finished in the top 15 in your major categories. I think year two with more time on task. Year two with a couple additional pieces. Year two with everybody basically coming back defensively and hopefully adding a difference maker third corner. This could be a top 5 defense in the league.
Blue 88. Answering 3 football questions as only Brock Heward can.
Are you looking at diversification and stability with your investment portfolio, especially with the volatility right now in the stock market? Hi, I'm Scott Rireka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We've been running local real estate investment funds for over 18 years. We've had 0 investor losses and have averaged double-digit returns since inception. Maybe it's time to take a little risk off the table given market conditions. For stability, there's no better option than Legacy Group's Northwest Fund, a fixed return of 9%. Legacy's Northwest Fund also accepts IRA accounts as well. Find out why over 1,000 local investors have invested over $250 million in our Legacy family of funds. Get in touch with us today. Legacy's Northwest Fund returning 9% has limited opening for new investors right now.
Call 425-635-4700 or visit legacyg.com. That's legacyg.com. This is not investment advice. Legacy investments available to accredited investors only. Details at legacyg.com.
Safety comes first. When money is tight, don't neglect maintenance on your vehicle. Keep it safe. At Bucky's Complete Auto, we have you covered with available financing. For over 50 years, Bucky's Complete Auto has been servicing and repairing cars and trucks with modern-day technology and good old-fashioned customer service. There's a Bucky's just about everywhere for oil changes, wiper blades, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, and factory maintenance. No appointment necessary and financing's available. Check Bucky's.com for the location near you.
I was in Seattle in our same home for 33 years.
We moved to Spokane because we physically could not get him into our house. We were told at Harborview that the average cost of taking care of somebody with quadriplegia was $250,000 a year. Settling the case when we did, it means that we don't have to worry about stretching every single dollar.
Learn more about Carl's story at dlgstories.com/Carl.
If you're 55 and up, T-Mobile has plans built just for you. 2 lines of unlimited for just $30 a line. That's a 45% savings compared to Verizon and AT&T. But don't just take our word for it.
It's not just the savings that are great with our T-Mobile plan. There's all this value from all these other things that T-Mobile offers.
T-Mobile has been such a savings for us.
We love it.
Switch today and get 2 free 5G phones like the Motorola Edge with Turbo Power charging that gives you power for the day in just 15 minutes. And customers 55 and up can get 2 lines of talk, text, and data for only $30 a line. Go to T-Mobile.com/choice55 to learn more. With AutoPay plus taxes and fees, plus $5 per line without AutoPay. Debit or bank account required. 45% off 2 lines versus AT&T Starter and Verizon Welcome. Plan benefits vary. Motorola Edge on us with 24 monthly bill credits and new line for well-qualified customers, plus tax and $35 per line connection charge. See details at T-Mobile.com. Motorola Edge requires 68-watt charger. Charger sold separately. Actual performance will vary based on usage and configuration.
Xfinity here. How can we help?
Hi, my daughter invited her entire class to her birthday party. Can my Wi-Fi handle it?
Oh, well, at Xfinity, our latest gateways have tri-band Wi-Fi technology, letting you connect hundreds of devices at once.
No way. So if all the kids are watching stuff on their phones, well, their parents are sharing videos online.
Yep, go ahead and watch videos. They can all do their thing and party their way. No problem.
Oh, we are gonna need a bigger cake.
Now through March 4th, Get fast, reliable Xfinity Gig Internet for $25 a month for 1 year with no annual contract and Wi-Fi equipment included when you add an unlimited mobile line. And ask how to get an eligible free 5G phone with trade-in. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Requires PayPal bill and auto-pay stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced mobile speeds after use of monthly data included with your data option. Data thresholds and actual internet speeds vary.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-777-1225. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-777-1225. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-777-1225. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-777-1225. 800-777-1225 or biglou.com.
Let's go! This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
This hour of the Brock and Salk Show is powered by Star Rentals, preferred supplier to the West's best contractors.
Get it freaking out! From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
I don't read the internet, guys.
Take the bull by the hands.
And Brooke, you are. And Brooke, you are.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Eward and Mike Salk.
Morning, buddy.
Hello, Michael.
What are we doing today?
Can you, well, I got my flannel on for you.
Yeah, I like that. I appreciate that. I like when you go flannel.
Can you see the gray in
Yeah.
Can you on my chin?
You got a little stubble going there.
Yeah, I do. I've decided I'm going to do something. I don't have any TV responsibility. I don't have any of that.
Right.
I'm going to try to be a man. I'm 40. I'm going to try to be a man.
Really?
Yes. And it may look really hideously bad. There may be patches of like orangish with the blonde, with the gray. I mean, it may look so bad.
Right.
But, you know, I went to this men's conference, and these men have big voices, and they all have beards, you know, and they talked about you're not a boy anymore, you're a man.
Right.
You're just growing a beard. And I've never really given it a shot. And the fact that I got some little gray sprinkles in here on my chinny chin,
yeah,
I think I kind of like it.
That's what I liked it too. Thankfully, you don't have
Yes.
Cecily around to tell you how awful it is every day.
Will you grow yours out with me in support? I just feel like, hey, Cess.
I would. I've already done it to Cecily for too long.
Cess, I got to do this for my buddy Brock. Like he's.
I'm a man. I'm 40.
Thank you.
That's right. Thank you. So I'm gonna give it a shot. Like this is like only 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
And I think I'm gonna try to give it at least till next Monday. I'm going to just go through this week.
You got to go. I mean, your hair is so fair that it's going to take a while. You might need to give it longer than that, honestly. You may need to give it more than just a week or two.
Well, but I'm telling you right now, accountability-wise, I'm not shaving until Monday.
At least.
And then
at least Monday.
At least
All right,
Monday.
let's get together on Monday
Yes.
and determine the next steps for this beard.
That's fair.
Okay? Like I don't want an immediate like, oh, it's Monday, didn't work, I'm out. Let's see what kind of
kind of like
growth-
with my glasses. Remember the challenge with my glasses, and it took 5 hours for them to find something to match my eye, the width of my eyes and the size of my forehead. Like this may be somewhat similar.
Yes.
Like after like 8 days of growth, and Maura, I'd really trust your opinion too. And you're just like, can't do it. Can't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, all right.
It looks really bad.
We'll monitor this for another
Okay,
week.
thank
I
you.
would like you to keep going though for a little longer than that. So let's see where we're at
All right.
in a week. Before we look forward a week, can we look back a day? I found myself thinking last night about our debate. I guess you would call it a debate on kind of what the Seahawks, how far away they are from the Eagles. And I saw the video that was posted on it where I basically said I don't think they're just an upgraded offensive line away from being the Eagles. I stand by that. They're not. They are more than just an upgraded offensive line away from being the Eagles. Can we agree on that?
I think we can agree because it certainly down the stretch and in that Super Bowl, the Eagles put the E in elite as a team. right? And now, if you were to say, how close are they to the Chiefs? How close are they to the Rams? How close are they to some of these teams that were kind of left in it at the end?
It's a much different conversation.
It's a closer in that race.
But how far away are they from the Eagles, a team that actually won? Pretty far.
I mean, I would say it's kind of like the turn in the 200 meters. I would say that distance. And then all of a sudden, after the pole, Amora closed the gap.
Well,
right? She closed the gap.
I mean, when the Eagles all went down with a hamstring injury, sure. Yeah.
She closed the gap.
Here's what I did want to say about it, though, because I know that sounds sort of like I'm dissing the Seahawks, and I don't mean to necessarily. They were 15th in the power rankings that came out yesterday, so that's sort of what the league is saying they believe the Seahawks are. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. The Seahawks don't have a lot of question marks. They really don't. Mm-hmm. The offensive line is obviously their biggest. But other than that, do you have another position group that you think is problematic? You got some questions at corner, right? That might be the one position where you've got questions. But I don't really have questions anywhere else. Your defensive line is good. Your edge rushers are good. Your linebackers look pretty good last year. Your safeties are good. I think you like what you got at wide receiver. Those guys are good. You may need more depth there. Your running back room is good. Your tight ends, I think you like the future for A.J. Barner. Gino, at the very least, is good. You've got a lot of good. Mm-hmm. How many dominant? That to me is just this question. The Eagles have at least 3, maybe 4 dominant position groups. Offensive line, dominant. Defensive line, dominant. Edge rushers as a group, dominant. Running back, dominant. Wide receivers, probably on the borderline of that, right, with A.J. Brown, et cetera. So, and an excellent secondary. The Seahawks have 1. I see one potentially dominant group. It's defensive line. And even then, with Jaron Reed, we don't know what that looks like. There's a lot of good to very good. How do you go out and make one of these groups dominant, or at least multiple groups dominant? Yeah. And that's why I did find myself thinking about someone like Myles Garrett, not because they have a need there, because your edge rushers are good. No one's going to look at this edge group and be like, yeah, that's bad. Can't win with that. You can. But where are you going to dominate? Where are you going to hang your hat? Where are you going to show the league that you can't be messed with, and they've got to deal with you? Because I don't know that I see that too many places on this team.
It's funny that you contextualize it in that way. Did you see Brady Henderson's little point about the Seahawks yesterday? Mm-hmm. Kind of a post-Super Bowl through these power rankings, and it was ESPN that had him at 15. And it was almost a spin in an entirely different way. When I read it, I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. There's not that much instability or uncertainty, is there? But look at the way that Brady framed it yesterday. He said now that they've hired Clint Kubiak, the focus of the Seahawks offseason will turn to their long list of contract questions. 15 of their 22 starters are either. So 15 of their 22, he puts in these 3 silos. They are either pending free agents, Ernest, Reed, Lake and Tomlinson, veterans who want new deals, Gino and DK, 2022 draft picks who are eligible for extensions, Cross, Boye, Ken Walker, Abe Lucas, Kobe Bryant, Rick Woolen, or highly paid players who will conceivably be cut.
Sure.
Draymond Jones, Lockett, Chenna, Fant. I mean, it's just remarkable because you're absolutely right. I think I tend to kind of fall on your side of that context, that they're not that far away, that there is a lot of good. It's just same old recurring. How do we go from mid to great, right? And 15 is right there in the middle of the pack. And there's a lot of clay there to be molded and shaped. And then on the other side of it, this is the NFL. Whereas Tom Brady did say very eloquently at the end of the game, it all starts anew. Like you think it starts, in chapter 20 if you're the Eagles. No. No, we remember 2015, right? We remember 2016. Like you see how quickly that book changes and how quickly in all of those impending decisions that they do have to make here. And some of them in the just very near couple weeks, as the new league year is a month away.
There is a good response to that conversation on X from someone named Esteban Bermudez.
Yeah, Esteban. Yep, I follow him.
Who says, if you have a C+ to B+ team, you need a difference maker at quarterback to have a shot at a title.
Mm-hmm.
If you have grade A offensive line, D, and run game, yes, you can make do with a grade C plus quarterback.
Mm.
That's well said.
I think that's fair.
I would say the Eagles right now have a grade A offensive line, defense, and run game, and at least a B plus, if not an A minus quarterback.
Yep.
I think Jalen Hurts pretty darn good. I mean, I'd probably give him an A minus. I would recognize not everybody does.
Well, his performance on the biggest stages has been at that level for sure.
Sure has. And I did see people saying yesterday, before you start thinking that the Chiefs stacked the box to stop the run, they didn't. They played a lot of nickel. They really did not just try to stop the run. You know, I'm not a film guy, so I'm not going to pretend to comment on that. But that's what I was reading yesterday, and I'll trust the source.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think Jalen Hurts is good. So I think they've got a little bit of both. But I think that's well said from Esteban, and I do think that the Seahawks need to use some of that as a barometer moving forward, as a blueprint going forward.
Yeah, these are busy couple weeks now. Combine is in 2 weeks, and these are busy. I know everything is kind of finalized, as DJ said, at that Combine, but these next couple weeks, personnel-wise, with lots of these, is Brady framed that, I think, very well. A bunch of these guys making a lot of money.
It is a lot of guys.
It is a lot of guys.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you don't have to pay all those 2022 draft picks, and technically, you don't have to pay DK or Geno, or right? I mean, there's only a few really important decisions, but in shaping this team, I think we will get an idea of exactly what and who Mike McDonald believes in, and who he doesn't in these weeks ahead, a month ahead.
360 says, finally a manly man radio show. Yeah, I would say that's, I mean, I always felt like that's us.
When you grew your beard, you became a real man.
Pretty manly. I was out there, you know, fixing things and doing man's work.
Very gray in your beard, too.
Swinging around
I just hope more of mine comes in gray instead of like the reddish orange the few times I've tried to do this. That's what I'm hoping for. Hoping for a lot more gray speckles to even it out, but we'll see.
I don't know, buddy. I'm worried about you. I'm worried about it, but I want to see where it goes.
I agree.
I'm a little worried, but I want to see where it goes. I hope it doesn't just make you look old.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Okay, sounds
Wow,
good.
so supportive.
No,
Maura, we got 16 years of brutal honesty with one another.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm right there.
I want to make sure we have 16 more to come. Coming up next, we'll give you guys everything you need to know. And then, Brock, 5 questions about the best 5-man rotation in baseball. That's coming up in 20. It's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
We are now speaking with the architect of your Seattle Seahawks.
How we doing, football fans?
With Seahawks President of Football Operations and General Manager John Schneider.
My job is to do what's best for the Seattle Seahawks organization. I have to keep wrapping my mind around that and trying to communicate effectively.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
What's the standard the Seahawks defense needs to be held to under Mike McDonald?
The John Schneider Show.
Brought to you by Pizza Hut.
Hey, have you been with the same agent and carrier so long you just assume they're doing right by you? Or maybe you're like Molly and I, your insurance agent and carrier decided no more, where they're out of the business. Either way, you are looking for the lowest cost. You are looking to make sure you've got everything covered. And you know what you're really looking for? The First Mark Insurance Challenge. Molly and I heard so many First Mark Challenge victories that saved people so much money. We decided, why don't we take this challenge totally free? And boy, am I glad we did. Here's how they went to work for us, how they'll go to work for you, how they went to work for my mom and many of my friends. They fully analyze your current coverage, making sure you're not overpaying for the wrong coverage. Then, unlike you and me, they go to the market with dozens of major carriers to find you the best fit. That's it. There's no stress. There's no confusion. They're your teammate, and they spent the last 30 years helping thousands of families, including mine, successfully manage this complicated world of insurance. So please don't wait a morning longer. Take the First Mark Challenge. Did I mention it's totally free? And you might be the next First Mark Challenge victory. Just go to firstmarkinsurance.com. Firstmarkinsurance.com. Your teammate that goes to work for you.
Protein, protein, protein. Everyone is trying to get protein in their diet, but we need fats too. Healthy fat, that is, like the rich, natural peanut and almond butters found at G2G protein bars. Most bars don't have it because, well, most bars aren't real food or refrigerated. Fortunately for you, we aren't most bars. At G2G, you'll find a balanced helping of protein and healthy fat. The fact that they're delicious is just the bonus. They're fast, easy, and perfect for on-the-go families. G2G protein bars. Find them in the refrigerated section at Costco.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
Hello, hello. Welcome to Lee Johnson Auto Family. This is King. This organization's a special one. They call it the Lee Johnson Auto Family, and it's not just a name, it's not just some cliche. They foster an environment for us to become a family, to work together, to really become close, and they show us in a lot of different ways that they do value us. Is it perfect? No, no place is. But I've been very thankful to be here in the almost 10 years and have every plan to stay here for a lot longer and just watch it continue to grow.
He's fun and professional, which explains why so many people visiting Lee Johnson Kia ask for him by name. The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto Family.
Stirring fiber, exercising, frequent trips to the store for more laxatives and fiber. Sounds like your constipation with belly pain is a lot to manage. But if your symptoms that keep coming back are signs of irritable bowel syndrome with constipation or IBS-C, ask your doctor how Linzess can help you get ahead of it. Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
I'm attorney Rob Iddens, proud Marine Corps veteran and owner of Warrior Injury Law. We help all types of injury victims like Sean, who was rear-ended in a car accident.
They're just easy to work with. They're fast. I like the fact that he had military service. I can see a lot of Marine in Rob. He's very in charge, really gets things done. But I didn't have to do anything. He offered me a settlement, had a number in my head, was nearly double that. I would refer absolutely anybody to Rob.
If you've been injured, call us at 253-WARRIOR. Warrior Injury Law. Battle tested. Eddie's!
Need a break from everything? Escape to a place where anything is possible and the fun never stops. At Silver Reef Casino Resort, you'll discover world-class dining, championship caliber golf, and so much more. Come join the fun and see why we've been consistently rated one of the region's top destinations. Visit silverreefcasino.com to book your stay and discover all the exciting events and promotions we have in store for you. Silver Reef Casino Resort, located off I-5, exit 260.
Find out more at silverreefcasino.com.
Jason Rance here with our local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn from Nunn Better Tax Resolution. So, Greg, not all tax resolution companies are the same. There are some that are definitely not local. There are others that don't quite know what they're doing even.
Well, I tell you, these ads that all of us hear, Fresh Start program, they make you feel like, hey, man, I can just easy peasy get my taxes written off. No. And I've had several clients actually come to me after going through that process, and they just get no response after a while. They're passed around from person to person. That doesn't happen at my firm.
You are familiar with the cases that come in. You're working on them.
I'm familiar with every case that comes into our office. And I know what's going on and have the ability to really advise our taxpayers very well on what to do.
If you're having trouble with the IRS, then call Greg Nunn. Nunn Better Tax Resolution, from stress to success with IRS Solutions. 425-947-1967 or Google NUNN. Nunn Better Tax Resolution.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Well, football now's in the rear view, Brock, so baseball's gonna take center stage. The hot stove nearly cold. Alex Bregman, the lone big name, left on the market. Sounds like he could choose maybe even as soon as today. Red Sox, Tigers, Cubs, the three teams most likely on what would probably be a short-term deal. It is that this one's a bit of a mystery to me. I know it's a Boris thing, and maybe he overplayed the cards, but why isn't the market better for a guy like Bregman who makes every single, I would think he makes everybody better.
Yeah, because I think, quite honestly, it is the one, and I know the Passons and others strongly disagree with this, and the financials and everything else in baseball are healthy. I think this is an indicator, and last year to a degree, that save for the Dodgers, 85, 90% of this league is like, we're not doing these 5, 6, 7-year deals. He's not doing it. We don't know where this thing is going, and if we're going to reset this thing, we do not want to have that on our hands. You know, by the way, how old is Bregman? It's going to be, is he 30?
Right around there.
Yeah.
But he's not old. I mean, like, he would, yeah. I'm still a little surprised. I would think that to get that guy on your team, the attitude, the championship pedigree, all of it. Anyway, Mariners pitchers and catchers reporting this week. First workout will be Thursday. We'll talk more about him in a few minutes, but one of the guys I'm most excited to talk to this year is Brian Wu. And, you know, 2 questions for him, right? His offseason and just his health. Can he
Sustainability.
Can he be a full-time, no-limitation starter? If he is that, and he was at times down the stretch last year, man, does that just completely, like, a rotation that's already incredible just gets that much better.
I know. And I know we played the sound of Timmy Kirkjian yesterday and many in baseball over the last few years thinking that George Kirby has the highest ceiling of all these 5. I don't know, man. The number's pretty clear.
Yeah.
When Wu is healthy, he's untouchable.
But can he go 7, 8 innings? You know, 8 would be a lot. But he pitched, I think it was about 120, 125 innings last year. Baseball Reference has him on projected for 130. That'd be low. If he, you know, to be a truly dominant kind of guy in those conversations, you're going to have to get up into the 160 to 180 range and maybe even eventually higher than that. And if he can, man, it's just, again, another 20, 30, 40 innings that you don't have to give to the bullpen and makes this team just that much better.
Here's the second thing you need to
People
know.
like the Super Bowl, Brock. Pretty good numbers. 126 million, a record for Fox. 15 million used a streaming service other than Fox. Tubi had most of those. Final details will come out today. But as I said, 126 million viewers, 131 for halftime, and a peak of 135.
I think it spoke to what we both felt yesterday, and that is, even though the scoreboard was not compelling, the theater still was.
Yeah.
You know, and like, is Mahomes really? Is he Drago? Is he bleeding? Like, is he cut? Is he really human? They're not going to get this done. Oh my gosh, Philadelphia is really going to do. Are they this good? Like, there was at least enough compelling play and playmaking that you didn't just turn away from it. And knowing that it's the last for quite some time, too, probably played a little role.
People seem to like the halftime show, too. I know there's been a lot of debate about it, and all you hear is people don't like it, don't like this. Well, I think the people that don't like it are a lot more vocal than the people that did, because the numbers were
seriously,
pretty impressive. Pretty impressive.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
Well, big day today, Brock, after weeks of conversation about who to hire, what kind of scheme would fit, then analyzing that choice to death, quite frankly. The new offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak, will be introduced. He'll meet the media today. What are you hoping to learn from Clint? For me, probably starts with the plans for the quarterback and how to improve the offensive line.
Yeah, I'll go into some depth in Blue 88 with some of that. I think you're going to hear some things very, very concisely. I don't think he's going to be one of a million words. I think he's a lot like his dad, who joined us, a week and a half ago, and understands where he falls in the pecking order of this thing, but how important continuity is and bringing his people along so they can hit this ground running. And it sounded also from Mike McDonald that old Clint and Gino have already had some conversations. And I think, again, skill set wise, fit wise, play action wise, movement wise, still a guy that fits exactly into the way that Clint Kubiak wants to call a game.
All right, there you go. That is everything you need to know. 1/4 every hour on the Brock and Salk Show. I should tell you now, it's a good time as we head into baseball season to download the app, Seattle Sports app. You can listen to games, which is a tremendous reason to do so. So if you're on the road and cruising around, you bring the Mariners with you and listen to games. And Rick Riz back for his 35th season. You can do all of that with the Seattle Sports app. So make sure you download it today. And while you do, you can then leave us messages for Here's the Thing. And that's, coming up on Thursday. So usually by tomorrow after the show, Moore's going to start looking through those. So if you've got something to say to us, something to respond to, something to make fun of us for, whatever the case may be, please go download the Seattle Sports app and then leave us a message for Here's the Thing.
And remind me, who do you get most excited to hear from? Is it Brent?
I like
Is it
Danny.
Danny?
Yes,
You like
Danny. I think Danny's number one, I think, with a
Danny
bullet.
did Old Salk, Skeletor.
Okay.
He's pretty
He
good.
did the Muppet Chiefs last week.
Danny's pretty funny.
Okay.
I like Manny from Maui also.
Yeah, Manny's not as regular, but a little bit more like an eclipse
And I like
when
Brad.
he shows
I mean,
up. It's pretty good.
Brad was the pace setter. I mean, early, and
was.
then people kind of poo-pooed him, and you thought he got weird. I'm a fan of Brad too.
Well, you're kind of weird, so I'm not surprised that you're a fan of the kind of weirdness that Brad brings. Did want to just give you the quick update. I mentioned this at 6. Brock talked about it for a few minutes. I was over at the Iceplex last night, and King 5 News crew there. Obviously, it went national. My parents saw it down in Arizona. I guess there was Good Morning America was going to do something on it this morning. I don't know if that happened, but they were calling parents. I found I was able to talk to a lot of the parents who were there, or just get a lot more information on it. It does sound like the guy will be charged, or has even been charged, but it's going to be misdemeanor assault. So for those thinking this is going to be a felony and he's going to do a lot of jail time, it doesn't sound like it. And I don't know all the reasons why that would occur. He's got a story that is not very believable about trying to break up a fight, and his kid that just is not believable. So he's been suspended pending a hearing. He won't be allowed in anywhere where hockey is being sanctioned in Washington or in the area. I don't know what that means for his kid. I hope his kid's not punished for the acts of his father. The kid didn't do anything.
That's right.
And I hope that other parents don't end up behind a glass wall watching games. And I was just hearing about someone who said, I think it was in basketball, that the school went to a no fans policy.
What?
Where everybody had to watch on video, which is the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Oh, boy.
Because one or two people can't control themselves? Come on. Yeah. We got to find a better way on that. So this story's not over. There's a lot more to discuss, but just giving you guys a little bit of an update here this morning. All right. I said it was time to talk some baseball, Brock, and I've got 5 questions about the best 5-man rotation in baseball. We'll try to answer them together next on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Wyman and Bob.
Could the biggest surprise of this offseason be what the Seahawks do in the draft?
Weekdays 2 to 7.
You never Nobody knows. Nobody knows. You're guessing. And sometimes you'll be right. More often than not, you're going to be wrong. But that's what I've learned from following John Schneider with Pete Carroll and then now with Mike McDonald. It's just got a clear idea of what their needs are. I don't think that's lost on anybody. But how they address them, got no idea. Everything is on the table with this team.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Hi, welcome to Staples. Hi, I hear Staples can print it all for my business. Oh, if you can think it, Staples can print it and will beat any print quote. Oh, great. I'm thinking new brochures and yard signs? No problem. I'm thinking calendars, t-shirts, and pens. Totally. I'm thinking Staples is the place for printing. I thought you might think that.
Right now at Staples, get up to $250 off your print purchase. Ends 4/5 exclusions apply. Visit staples.com/print for offer details. Price match guarantee valid in store and staples.com/print. Visit staples.com/price match for details.
Did you know your skin is the largest organ of your body? Huh? That's why you should shower with Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash instead of plain old bar soap. Love your skin by super hydrating it with vitamin B3 and glorious notes of vanilla and shea. Did you know that my super hydrated skin is the second largest organ of my body? The first is my heart. Old Spice. Men have skin too. Old Spice Super Hydration Body Wash. 24/7 renewing moisture. With daily use.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs, with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED. But Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Just Cause Legal knows the value of standing up for what's right. If you've been in a car crash, Just Cause Legal is here to fight for you. With aggressive auto insurance lawyers on your side, you will secure the compensation you deserve. Just Cause Legal makes the process as painless as possible. Don't wait. Time is critical. Get the help needed today. Visit justcauselegal.com or call 253-859-8899 and meet your legal lifesavers. Just Cause Legal, fighting for you. Mariners single game tickets are on sale now. The squad will be back in action before you know it. And now's the time to lock in your seats for the biggest games this season. Don't miss opening day on March 27th, Ichiro Hall of Fame weekend, August 8th through 10th, and matchups versus the Dodgers, Yankees, and more. Plus, check out 30 value games with tickets starting at just $10. Go to Mariners.com to get your tickets today.
A deep blast. This is gone. Home run, Julio.
Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contests are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on seattlesports.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
The Hot Stove Show. Stay up to date on the Mariners offseason with Aaron Goldsmith, Gary Hill, and Shannon Dreyer.
Swing and a miss for strike 3.
Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m. leading up to spring training.
There she is, founder and CEO. High five.
Dave can't stop celebrating with every business owner in town.
All right, Baker Man, high five.
He's sharing the excitement of big savings with the Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee.
Ooh, up top, bike shop. Yeah.
It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
Quick, high five.
5 years of advanced security.
5 years.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.
Yeah, law partners. Chamberlain, Messethorpe, Dubois.
All from the company with 99.9% network reliability. Switch today and get the 5-year price lock guarantee.
5 years.
It's back, but only for a limited time.
Woo!
Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities. Comcast Business.
Can't forget you, voiceover guy.
Ah, thanks, Dave.
High five.
Ends 3/9/25. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
At Sound Pain Solutions, some of the most difficult cases we see are patients suffering from failed back surgery syndrome. Bill is an avid golfer, but his pain got so bad he couldn't play and was considering surgery.
My back was killing me. I could not play any more golf. I could not walk more than half a block. I did not want surgery on my back, and I researched many different ways of getting this fixed. Behind that was horror stories from my friends who had back surgery, but it wasn't worth it, and I just made conclusion to that. There's got to be another way.
I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic neurologist at Sound Pain Solutions. We were able to get Bill back on the course without the risk of surgery. We did this using non-invasive, FDA-cleared procedures like non-surgical decompression, laser, pressure wave, and bioelectrical treatments. Now, Bill is back to playing golf and enjoying life. Schedule a free consultation to learn if you qualify for our non-surgical and drug-free treatment by calling Sound Pain Solutions or visiting soundpainsolutions.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Wrote about the AL West race, which Fangraphs.com currently has projected as a three-way tie between Texas, Houston, and Seattle. And how rare that is, but also how tight and competitive all the non-NL West Division races look like this year. That's from Mike Petriello just a few minutes ago. And, yeah, Fangraphs currently has it projected as a three-way tie between Texas, Houston, and Seattle. It is easy to bash the Mariners offense, and it has become quite easy, and I'm not holding myself separate from this, to bash the Mariners off season and the lack of movement. And it would be perfectly fair to respond to this comment to say, cool, if you'd gone out and made 2 more moves, you'd be the clear front runner in the AL West. Mm-hmm. Those things are all very reasonable to say and accurate. It's also fair to say this team's still pretty good, and there are reasons for hope and excitement heading into the season. And all of that is sort of led by this rotation, which is still one of, if not the very best in all of baseball. So, Brock, I've got for you today 5 questions about the best 5-man rotation in baseball.
Is it fair to say over the next 8, 9, 10 days you're going to have your storylines ready when we hit Peoria?
I think so. That seems about right. Yeah, I would say by the time we get down there, not this week, but probably next week, we'll get the storylines conversation going.
And good timing, I think, just based on the meteorological reports. It's going to be a little chilly in Peoria. Pitchers and catchers Thursday. Like it is 60s, maybe even a little bit of sprinkles.
We'll keep those guys inside. Keep them warm. They don't need we don't need anybody getting hurt right off the bat.
No.
And let's use that one for question number 1. Can this team lead the league in innings again as a rotation? And you could reframe that question another way. You could reframe that as, are they lucky that they haven't had injuries, or did they crack the code? Right? Like, are they not having injuries because they're doing something different, namely allowing their starters to pitch deeper into games rather than removing them as early as lots of other teams do? But that could be a recipe for success, right? That they're building up arm strength, they're building up stamina, and that allows them to maintain health. Or maybe they've just been lucky and the other side of this is waiting for them and it's going to eventually be a huge problem. I don't know how we know the answer to this question other than to just play it out, but it is one of, if not the biggest questions about this rotation.
Well, I could hear Elmo just chuckling at you and like, my God. If he were to be on with us, the guy that wrote the book on the arm and everything else and has studied the arm and not only based on past, that being Jeff Passan and what he's written about it, but also present. And how just about everybody struggles with it, right? You have done something that basically the majority of the league, easily the majority, has not been able to do, and that is just run 4 or 5 guys out for every start the last couple of years.
Yeah, I don't know whether Jeff would laugh about it, though. I mean, reading the arm, and I know you and I have both read the book, there is an element of there may be a code out there that we haven't cracked yet, and there is some suggestion that some of it may be counterintuitive, that maybe pitching more would allow you.
Yeah, and building it up the right way and developing those guys the right way. I mean, that side of it.
And the types. I mean, we just don't know. Maybe the Mariners have found at the very least 4 guys that have rubber arms and bounce back. And, if that's the case, there's no reason it can't continue other than that eventually the odds seem to tell you you're going to run into some injuries. But obviously, if they want to have the same kind of success this year and they do want to contend in the AL West, they need to be pretty healthy in that rotation.
Yep.
Number 2, who's going to start opening day? We started this conversation a little bit yesterday, and I liked your answer on it, Brock. My gut had been with Luis Castillo. But I think you might have convinced me that Logan Gilbert not only is the right guy, but will be the guy.
Well, yeah, I think some of Andy McKay spoke to that, and we didn't ask him any of that. He just spoke more from a personality standpoint and who has really manifested, that ability to both be analytical and then just be a force and a warrior and let it rip. And he didn't hesitate. He's like, yeah, that's Logan Gilbert. And to be the all-star and to take that step last year, Salk, it felt like by year's end, he was the horse, right? Kirby's, a little bit of ups and downs. And certainly Logan even had a couple games on the road that got away from him a little bit. Wu had some injuries, but it really felt like it was Bryce and Logan, down the stretch. And Logan even more so because of the experience in the past that, yeah, he feels like he's that guy. And then as I said, and this isn't me saying this, it's hearing from people around baseball that have kind of intimated it may be very difficult to sign Logan Gilbert to an extension. Florida guy, Southern guy, a lot of family down there, and Seattle's long ways away. And I don't know, maybe you start catering and making sure and reinforcing you're our one, and we want you here for the long haul. And maybe you do that with him having him be the opening day starter for the first time. I would not be against that.
I wouldn't either. I think that's a really excellent argument. I also think that, for Scott and the way he was working the clubhouse, I think it always made sense to start with the veteran leader in Luis Castillo. And unless there was a good reason to rock that apple cart, you just don't.
He's the rock.
You just let him do it. And you say, hey, he's done it before. To take him out of that spot is an insult that you don't necessarily get anything from using.
Yeah.
I think you could also now, though, this year, make the point, look, Castillo was good last year, but he wasn't as good as the other guys. And Logan is sort of evolutionary next in line to take over.
It will be kind of fun to watch that play out. We know that group's close.
Yep.
We know how much those guys enjoy working around one another, supporting one another.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe some of that just Salk, frankly, manifests itself in the next 6-7 weeks.
We're like, it just becomes clear and
Takes
obvious.
care of itself.
This guy is the opening day starter.
That's right.
He's showing it. He's proving it.
Yep.
Yeah, and it won't be because of how they pitch. It will be how they are.
Yep.
Right? I mean, we know we've been down there each year when Logan has his god-awful start down in spring training. Remember each time? Like one time we were supposed to interview him afterwards, or maybe we were supposed to interview Cal afterwards.
And they sent out the cheese and the crackers and
his
the wine
wife.
for the families, you know?
Logan comes out and he's just like so pissed. It's great.
Yes.
But like he's going to have that one outing where he's like his big, long, lanky arms just aren't all in sync in spring training. And you don't worry too much about it.
Doesn't spin
right
down there.
And then he finds a way to come back and be Logan by the time the season starts. So I think it's a fun question. I think you've been right on in trying to figure out how Dan will handle that. Number 3. These are 5 questions about the best 5-man rotation in baseball. Who's going to take the next step? We've been talking about this rotation more in terms of maintaining, but why can't they get better? They're not old other than Castillo, and I think that there's an individual question here about the next step for all 5 of them. For Logan and for George Kirby, it's Cy Young, right? Like the next step for those guys, they've put themselves into the tier, what I would call the second or third tier of frontline starters. Does that make sense? The second or third tier of number ones, but not necessarily the top of the top. They both have the possibility and capability to get there. So for those two, it's Cy Young. For Miller and Wu, I don't know if it's that yet, although, by the way, I'm not like ruling it out. For those two, it's innings pitched and consistency, right? Can Brian Wu just be healthy and strong? And he was late in the year last year. It's why I want to talk to him when we're down in spring training. Remember we talked to him right before we left for spring training last year. He had just gotten there, and we had a great conversation with Brian Wu on the phone. And that was one of the questions was, okay, how did your body feel at the end of last season? So this is going back to 2023.
It definitely hit a wall there later in the season. I mean, yeah, it's a long year. It's my first, full season as a professional. It's the most innings I've thrown. So, yeah, that was definitely a big learning curve, was just kind of understanding how long the season is and what it takes to get through a whole season. And what really matters is being ready to go, at the tail end of September and making a run into the playoffs.
So I mean, that was 2 years ago. Last year, he did deal with some, mostly nagging injuries, nothing too serious, thankfully. And
where my mind goes?
Those 120 innings.
Yeah, where my mind goes in this one? It's funny, and it may again just be kind of prisoner of the moment with Kirkchin yesterday, but it goes to George, and it's not, and it's just like it's a sustainability, not in arm or health, but almost an emotion and personality, right? He is so furious, George, sometimes, right? And if he leaves something over the plate, or it's not getting called, or it just that emotion. What did Chip Kelly say? You want to play with emotion, but not let emotion play with you. And I think at times that latter happens to him, and so I don't want him to change that edge. I want him to have that, but I don't want that emotion to play with him, because I think sometimes it takes him hostage. So for me, it's funny, like the next step, and maybe for him to just channel that. And if he does, he's a Cy Young candidate. His stuff is that good, right? His stuff can be that unhittable, and his command is that elite. So it's funny, of these 5, that's the one that resonates. I felt like Logan took that step last year. I felt like Bryce took that significant step last year. I feel like Wu, it is all sustainability, health. Luis kind of been there, done it, hoping to sustain.
I'm not saying been there, done that for Luis. I do think there is a next step for Luis Castillo. And for me, it would be learning to pitch, not throw, right? And we've seen this with guys at about his age, when just coming out and firing fastballs at 99 miles an hour isn't the same as it used to be, because there's just a tick difference. Either he's going to have to bump the velocity back up, or he's going to have to learn to pitch a new way. And I think he's got the secondary stuff and the intelligence to do that. But that evolution as a pitcher to me, is the next step for Luis. So that's question 3. Question 4, short one, but who's got a new pitch? It's going to be something. My bet is on Bryce Miller because he's already got like 7 of them. Mm-hmm. But these guys love new pitches.
Love to tinker.
And Cal loves to call them.
Yes, he does.
So I am a little curious to see who will have a new pitch. Mm-hmm. And then the final one, and if there's anyone that comes close to negative, it's this. And I don't even know if it's negative, but can they improve on the road? Right? I mean, we saw that the splits last year were fairly alarming, that this team was not nearly as good pitching-wise when they got away from the cavernous T-Mobile Park. Mm-hmm. And, they've done a really good job, I think, all of them, of setting specific goals for themselves and then succeeding in those goals. So this one's not necessarily about home road, but last year when we talked to Wu, I'll go back to that interview again, we asked him, all right, what are you going to do about lefties? Because the one problem he had as a rookie is he couldn't get lefties out. So this is what he told us a year ago.
I think it's just continuing to do, what I did against righties was really just not try to overcomplicate anything. I think after the first couple of weeks, started hearing, like the differences. And I think in my mind, I tried to do too much against lefties, and I kept my approach pretty simple against righties. So I think really trying to simplify my approach against both is going to give me, the best chance of success. Obviously, we're working on things here and all off season on, off speeds and secondary pitches for strikes and, all types of different things. But I think when it comes down to it, it's really just doing the small things and doing the simple things at a high level.
If you're curious about how lefties did against Brian Wu last year,
they didn't do good.
They were better than righties. Mm-hmm. But they were really bad. Yep. He was unbelievable against right-handers. Right-handers had a 541 OPS against them over the course of the year. Yep. Lefties were only 605.
Correct.
So he went out, and I would say he accomplished that goal.
It felt like it was the changeup or the off-speed. It felt like that is...
I don't know. I think he just went at them with the fastball. I think he did exactly what he said he wanted to do, is just be more consistent and not worry about it as much. So if that's the case... can he do the same thing with the home road splits? I think what he saw last year.
He was the best at it.
He was.
Of the 5, his home road was the smallest delta.
You know what the biggest difference was between him and home and on the road? Because it was about 133 points of OPS. The walks were about the same. He gave up more home runs. Yeah, 9 to 5 home runs on the road versus at home. Looking at it, I would say the biggest difference is strikeouts, oddly. And that sort of speaks to that Petriello article that said that it's an easier park to strike out in. Strikeout to walk ratio was over 9 at home and about 6.5 on the road, with very similar walk numbers. So that to me is kind of where that difference is.
Is there any way that the pitchers could take the batter's eye from T-Mobile with them?
Maybe.
Just put on the equipment truck.
I hadn't thought about that. I hadn't considered.
Can we
load
that sucker up? It's pretty good for us here at home. Any chance that we can just implant this down in L.A. and Oakland and Texas and Houston? And
we'll see. We'll see if these guys can find a way to improve on the road, and maybe it might need to involve changing their style a little bit. But these guys are all talented, even when they're away from T-Mobile Park. And my guess is they'll have a pretty good plan for that heading into this year. So as we start to get excited for pitchers and catchers a little later this week, there are 5 questions, Brock, about the best 5-man rotation in football. Now let me ask you 3 questions about football.
Okay.
This is Brock and Salk's Blue 88.
Blue 88! Blue 88!
We take you to the field as Brock Ewart breaks down 3 football questions as only he can.
Now here's your hosts, Brock Ewart and Mike Salk.
All right, question number 1 for you, Brock. Clint Kubiak is going to meet the media today, and I believe we'll be on with Bump and Stacy as well. Nice. What do you expect to hear from him?
Yeah, I think I'm going to use a little alliteration, if that's all right. 3 C's. 3 C's. Number 1, complimentary ball. This guy understands, being a football lifer, the system they run. I'm going to play complimentary ball with the head coach. I know what he wants of me through this process and why I think I was a target. I'm speaking as if I'm Clint Kubiak here because I know how to play complimentary ball with this offense and being able to run when we want to run and not being dictated by others. And I'm going to compliment everything that Mike wants to do within this program and my style fit. So complimentary ball is number 1. I think number 2, and I hope he certainly asked about this, is just the continuity of staff and how important it is to have O-line, QB coach, same voice, same messaging. This isn't all of us trying to learn one another. All of us that have never worked together. A lot of what we saw last year, which was neat in premise, but difficult, I think, in execution. So you only have limited reps, man. You only have limited hours. You only have limited OTA. We don't have time. So we got to have continuity, and that continuity really matters, I think, to Kubiak in this system. And then lastly, chain of command. I know where I fit. Humble guy. And this isn't going to be out of his mouth. I think it'll be the takeaway from everyone there, and it's an appearance with Bump and Stacy. Like, this is a chain of command guy. There's going to be, that whole ego and not listening and all the stuff, that I think at times was a little challenging a year ago. That won't be a challenge at all with this hire. And he knows exactly how the chain of command works in the NFL and will once again complement McDonald in this system very, very well.
I love it. All right, question number 2. So this year with the draft, McDonald's been here, right? It's not just the hurry up and go that they had last season. How would you expect that to affect the draft and make it different this season?
Yeah, I like this from Mark Schlereth. He was on with Rich Eisen. He was talking about Philadelphia. You could also talk about Baltimore. You could also talk about these kind of esteemed programs that have been together a long time. Head coach, GM, president, owner. Schlereth talking about one of the keys with Philadelphia and why they have hit so many times on personnel here with Stink.
I think that's another thing, Rich, it's so important about building a team. It's also understanding. It's like San Francisco does a great job of understanding what they want at the linebacker position. And then everybody they go after and draft, they can all run. They're all kind of built the same way. They're all like, hey, man, here's the prototypical guy. Right. And they fill that in, and every guy looks the same, whether it's Al Shire when he was there, whether it's Greenlaw, it's all those guys kind of look and have that same athletic trait and that same athletic ability. I think that's one of the things to really understand what we are, what we want at each individual position. And then we go after that and plug in football players. I always say this about the draft and about, free agency in general is that football players are football is really hard for athletes. It's easy for football players. And the problem with a lot of teams in the draft is they get enamored by athletes, and I'm fascinated by football players. And it's easy to tell the difference on film.
Yeah, I think there were some years there where that went down in Seattle, right? I think there were some years like, well, we got everybody accounted for. We don't really have any needs, so let's just take some swings at these athletes. Let's just take some swings at these guys that maybe we can convert, or move from, receiver to D end and old D end to and D tackle to O-line, like just some instead of no, this is what we want. This is exactly who we need. And that's why the next month is going to be fascinating leading up to the draft. We don't even have to wait till the draft. These decisions on who they're going to re-sign from the 22 class, these decisions on some expensive players, vets they have on the roster, these decisions on some of their impending free agents, we're going to learn a lot of what Mike Macdonald wants. And I'm really glad, Salk, that he has had 15 months time on task with John, that they've already made some of these decisions, and in particular at linebacker, that they got on the same page rather quickly and in season uniquely. I'm kind of fascinated to see what the next month is going to look like, but there is no question in my mind that this time together between Mike and his staff and defensively especially with what he wants, I think that personnel department will go after it.
All right, question number 3. We are just over 2 weeks away from the Combine.
Yep.
So what do these guys do over the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, so...
And by the way, one of the things John Schneider will be doing over those couple of weeks is his regular Thursday conversation.
When does that begin?
With Wyman and Bob, I think this week.
Does that begin this week?
I believe it's this week, 2 days from now.
Yes.
The John Schneider Show will be back with Wyman and Bob. So
good for Bob and Dave, and they're down there. So Bump and Stacy probably down there today, I understand. Did Big Boss Lady hook it up down there, like with the new headsets and a desk?
I heard it's going to be a lot better.
Yeah, I hear. Yeah, we've come invested in our studio down there.
Renovations.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
We're fans.
So the players, as you know, are ramping up. The G. Scott Jr., all these prospects, they're ramping up at facilities in Arizona and Florida, getting ready to run that 40 and jump a little higher and get their bodies right. So they're taking care of all of that. I understand our buddy Jake is training Will Howard, which is really cool. And some of these QB trainers are training their guys to get them all ready to go for the Combine. for the Seahawks, it really is prioritizing. And we know this after 15 years of watching this, Salk. There is a prioritization to their offseason. And right now, it is get Ernest Jones signed. I think right now, number one is let's target who was on our, last year it was Leonard Williams. We're going to get Leonard done. And we're going to get this taken care of in February, and he's going to be our guy. We're going to get this deal done. So I think if they're impending free agents, he is the number one.
Because Charles Cross isn't an impending free agent?
Correct. They don't have to do that. Time is not ticking on anybody in that 22 class.
It's important, but not as timely.
That's right. And you even remember with Charles, he's got a fifth year because he was a first-round pick.
Right.
So, yeah, after 3, you can sign these guys, Ken and Boye and them, but you don't have to. You can put that restricted tag, and they're under contract and everything else. So, no, I think business number one is let's find the right deal with Ernest, and let's take care and get this thing done with Gino.
All right.
I think that those are the top 2 priorities over the next few weeks.
I love it. Good stuff. That is today's Blue 88 as we ask each other questions apparently today.
Yeah, it's good.
I started the inner game of tennis last night. I think I'm going to try to read
it. Oh, you ended up getting that?
I did. Yeah. I bought it and just started reading it last night. So far, it's great.
Is it?
Yeah. It's got 3 different forwards. It's the Pete Carroll forward and the Bill Gates forward and then the intro. It's like, when does this book start? So I got through a lot of the forwards last night and maybe the start of the first chapter before I fell asleep. But I will. I'm going to read it. I'm interested in it. And as you were talking about George Kirby and all that mental stuff, is going to play into it, of course,
Sure is.
and the success level.
Always does. Always does. Walking through that a little bit with my Macers right now.
Yeah.
Right? Just a long season, hit a little bit of a tough stretch, some shots not falling, and just what are you telling yourself? When that ball is in your hand and you're leaving it, are you hoping it's going in? You're willing it's going in? You believing it's going in? Like, yeah, man, it is obviously such a mental aspect to all sport. Big deal.
I basically started reading it to see if it would help my golf game. That was essentially the extent of my reasoning behind it. But he tells a pretty interesting story of teaching tennis right at the beginning where he says, all right, I'm going to try it totally differently. This guy's never played before. I'm not going to tell him anything. I'm just going to have him watch me hit 10 or 15 shots with a forehand, hand him a racket, tell him not to focus on whatever I'm doing, and then just go do it. And he says afterwards, the guy says, okay, the one thing I noticed is that you really moved your feet like this. He says, no, just go hit. He goes and hits, and he's like, the guy has perfect form with everything except that his feet are totally wrong. He doesn't move them at all. And he's like, the only thing you noticed is the only thing that you screwed up when you went to go do this. So I think that's what kind of takes him down the journey of trying to figure out how to not think so much, but still get it right. And I'm excited to read the rest of the book. Cool. All right, coming up next, Maura's got a game for us, Brock, but it involves the biggest piece of news that everybody seems to have missed with the Super Bowl going on. That's next on Brock and Salk.
The Hot Stove Show, Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m.
Have I ever told you how much I enjoy doing the Hot Stove Show? Every day. This is truly one of the best ways that we have to get to know some of these guys. Long-form conversation. You don't have the pressures of the season. You're not in the clubhouse, right? There's not a hitters meeting or a pitchers meeting to go to. I think we get some of our very best stuff from all these guys, players and coaches, front office members, right here each and every week during the winter.
Stay up to date on the Mariners offseason. The Hot Stove Show, every Tuesday leading up to spring training.
Are you trying to buy a new home, or are you a local real estate agent seeking financing for a client? We're all tired of dealing with banks, credit unions, and endless guidelines. Wouldn't it be nice to go back in time when we had common sense lending? Hi, I'm Scott Rureka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We are one of the largest local private portfolio lenders in Washington. We've helped thousands of home buyers and real estate investors reach their financial goals by leveraging the Legacy Common Sense borrowing platform. What that means is we lend our own money, we make our own decisions. If your deal makes sense, we'll get it done. Whether you're purchasing a new piece of real estate or refinancing an existing loan, bridge loans, construction, or regular home loan, it doesn't have to be as difficult as banks and lenders make it. If you're trying to grow wealth through real estate acquisition, come talk to the experts in private lending.
Call 425-635-4700 or LegacyG.com. Legacy Group Capital, your common sense lender. LegacyG.com.
So I formed Davis Law Group about 30 years ago, and I would get, the same questions from people about what to do in the case of an accident. Do you need a lawyer? To the point where I decided that I would at least write a book which would answer the common questions that I would receive as a lawyer. Once I wrote my first book, it proved to be hugely popular. I decided to write then a series of books in different accident cases so that we could really teach people about their rights, how to protect them, and how to decide on whether they need a lawyer and what lawyer to hire. I've found in my career that having a client that is educated and knowledgeable about their particular type of case really helps the client and also usually ends up making the case or the claim more successful. To get your free copy of any of my Washington accident books, visit WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
What is that sound? Ugh, that sounds like a plumbing sound. Luckily, there's a company that fixes all the plumbing sounds across Puget Sound. That's All Sound Plumbing. Puget Sound's plumbing experts. Have a sound? Visit allsoundplumbing.com.
Has snow or ice damaged your roof? You need help removing the snow off of your flat roof? Well, call the experts at Riverside Roofing, 425-949-8252, or go to riversideroofingllc.com. Riverside Roofing, they are the roofing company you can trust.
Guys, did you know your testosterone affects everything in your system, including how you feel and perform every day? Right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. Knowing your T levels is the first step in understanding if you have low T. Your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED. Maintaining an appropriate T level can change your whole life. Most men start to see changes in their hormone levels in their 30s. Experience and results matter. So what are you waiting for? Get your T levels checked today by local, experienced, and trusted men's health experts. They've helped thousands of men since 2011. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Call Revive today and schedule your free testosterone test, free exam, and free consultation. Call Revive Men's Health at 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
We've all been there. Sleepless nights, mind racing, wondering if your business's security service is really protecting what matters. At Bay Alarm, we can put your security insecurities to bed. Video security, burglar alarms, fire alarms, access control, 24/7 monitoring, and more. Our advanced technology and personalized support ensure you can rest easy, knowing we're here for you, your people, and your business. Visit bayalarm.com to talk to a local security expert. Bay Alarm, we got you.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer? Can we sleep cooler? Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery. Ends President's Day. Exclusively to Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
This is a story of the one. As a maintenance specialist for university housing, he knows college students can major in wear and tear. Plus, housing so many students doesn't leave a lot of room to house all the supplies he needs. That's where Grainger comes in. With over 1 million industrial-grade products and fast, dependable delivery, Grainger carries the quality products he needs so he doesn't have to. From a new door hinge to a whole new faucet. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Give me a freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Heward and Matt Marcus. Sorry about just Mike.
Heward, not exactly Joe Cap there in the pocket.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Heward and Mike Salk.
We have some guests today I should tell people about. Half hour from now, Hall of Famer Kurt Warner will join us. What did you say, Maura? Is it like 12 months to the day that we talked to Kurt Warner last year.
February 9th. I was looking at my text. February 9th last year.
So probably also right after the Super Bowl. Maybe right before the Super Bowl? I don't know. We'd have to go back and check and see. But the Hall of Famer, Kurt Warner, will join us, and we can talk Hall of Fame with him. I wonder if he thinks Torrey Holt should be in the Hall of Fame. I would imagine he does, having thrown quite a few passes.
It'd be really great if he's like, no, I made him.
Not really.
Kind of like Cam Newton just did. Did you see his comments?
No.
Oh, gosh. He was on Travis Hunter's podcast, and they're talking about like being the number one pick, and he's like, well, you know why you're the number one pick? And you know, Travis in his innocence is like, yeah, because, you know, I'm a baller, and what I did. He's like, no, because, you know, your team you're going to is a bunch of losers. Like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, Steve Smith's already gone
Steve
after
Smith,
Cam
the
Newton on
Carolina
that
guys
one.
really love that.
Sure they did.
That had nothing to do with your talent. It's the fact the team you're going to sucks. They're a bunch of losers. Like, appreciate that.
Really making headlines for all the right reasons.
He's making headlines, though. That's for sure. Cam is finding his way into the news pretty regularly. Anyway,
I made Torrey Holt. He's lucky. Isaac Bruce lucky he's in there. I got him in the Hall of Fame.
I would be very interested to see if that's how Kurt Warner handles it at 8:30. Before we do that, though, Maura's got a game for us today. It's Whose Shoes?
Yeah, as you mentioned, we haven't played this one in a while. As you mentioned, I think there was some sound in the pregame for the Super Bowl that maybe in all the hoopla of the game, a lot of people might have missed. So I'll ask you the Whose Shoes after this, but here's Jay Glazer with the latest on Aaron Rodgers.
I do have some breaking news right now to report, Michelle. That's what we do. And it involves another Super Bowl MVP, and that is Aaron Rodgers. And guys, I've learned that Aaron Rodgers flew back to New Jersey this week to meet with the Jets about his future. Met with the team head coach and the GM, only to be told that they want to move on from him. Now, the thing is, what does Aaron want as player or not? What happens? Do they trade him? Do they cut him? Whatever it is, but the fact that Aaron actually used his own plane to fly there to find out what the decision probably means that Aaron still wants to play another year, just not going to be for the Jets.
I told Salk off air that I find this to be sweet poetic justice from that time that Rodgers smugly told the story of how the Packers brass came to meet with him, and he basically left them sitting on his front lawn while he went to meet with some Buddhist monks that were in town or something. And he was laughing about how they were sitting there waiting for him on the side of the highway. So he had to fly across country to be told that he was fired.
Jets are all laughing about how he wasted all that money on his private flight across the country.
But we also heard the report last week from Jay Glazer that he does not expect the Steelers to bring Russell Wilson back. So whose shoes would you rather be in as the quarterback's looking for work?
Man.
Russell Wilson or Aaron Rodgers?
I'll tell you this, Salk. Get ready for this. Aaron Rodgers, according to Vegas, top 5 teams, odds of his next destination. Number 1-1, Pittsburgh. Don't see that happening.
No.
Wow.
Especially now that it looks like they're going to go with Fields.
Seems like a no.
Number 2, 3-1, San Fran. Bring him home.
That would make more sense.
Number
Certainly
3,
has leverage against Purdy.
Saints, 5-1. Number 4, Pete Carroll in Vegas, 7-1. And number 5, your Seattle
Really?
Seahawks.
I mean, I think that just probably speaks to how the world views Geno, probably more than anything else, and the fact that there's a contract, etc.
Can you imagine?
No.
No, I really can't.
Can you?
I mean, John Schneider's always said he wants a quarterback that tilts the room.
Can
I don't think he needs it tilted over.
Imagine, John.
That'd be more of a tilt-a-whirl.
Whose shoes?
Neither. There is no answer to this question. I don't want to be in either of their shoes, and I refuse on grounds that it may incriminate me. I refuse to answer this question.
Recuse yourself from this whose shoes?
I'm just straight up refusing.
think
I'm
this
not
is a
answering
first for
it.
this
I refuse to answer.
I think Aaron Rodgers is going to have more options.
Okay.
Yeah, I think because and they both spin things and everything else, and but I think Aaron's going to have a few more options.
It's the shoes. The shoes? It's gotta be the shoes.
All right, new head coach on a team with some issues or struggles. Liam Cohen or Brian Schottenheimer?
So Jacksonville or Dallas?
Yeah, I get Trevor Lawrence coming off of just a disaster. I actually like Liam's staff. I think Shane Waldron's down there. He's surrounded himself with good people. He's got to stop saying. He's got to stop saying Duval. like a weirdo.
What's up with Shane Waldron, though? That story that came out last week?
I don't know if I buy that.
I think he's back to being the passing game coordinator.
Still,
He's
like,
obviously
he
does not need to be one-on-one with the players.
Refused to go over film with his quarterback?
You know what that smells like? That smells a little Russell Wilson-like right there. That smells like somebody covering that. That would be everything against everything you know about Shane Waldron, and that would smell a little bit like, let's spin this to try to protect the number 1 pick. I don't.
Yeah, all the news about him sounded like he just wasn't great at capturing a room, but not that he was like a bad guy. That
or not a worker. Yeah.
All
I'm
right.
going to go Liam on that.
I'll go with Shoddy. Schottenheimer's a good coach. Like, I'm kind of curious to see what it looks like. I think he's actually a decent fit for Dallas. He's going to try to run the ball down there and play Marty ball, as Marty's kid. And he's got some talent down there. It's not perfect. And having Jerry Jones meddling over your shoulder all the time isn't great.
No, thank you.
But,
yeah, at least you don't have to deal with Balky and.
and I think Dak is better than Trevor Lawrence. So I would say I would rather be in Brian Schottenheimer's shoes. Plus, I always kind of like Shoddy.
So Dak's hamstring tore off his bone.
Yeah, so.
Shuffling up in the pocket.
It happens.
All right.
Happens to the best of us. Literally the best.
No, yours didn't tear off the bone, number one. Number two, it was 38 degrees and raining, and he didn't stretch like an arrogant little pompous guy. And number three, you tried to shift into a gear that you don't have anymore.
That's really the key. Really, the third one was the one that did me in.
All right, coaches that are back at it, Pete Carroll or Bill Belichick?
You been to Chapel Hill?
Let's keep it on the field.
You been to Chapel Hill?
Let's not talk about their personal life.
Same thing, man. I like Pete's staff. I like what he did in Vegas.
I would just rather be in the NFL than in college. So I'm going to say Pete. I'd just rather be in the NFL than in college.
Yeah. Yes.
Money's gotta be the shoes. Shoes. You sure it's not the shoes?
I'm sure, Mark.
What about the shoes?
What about the shoes? Do you think he could win at UNC, though? What if he takes UNC to a national title game? That'd be pretty remarkable. It would just cement the legacy of. Not that it needs to be cemented, but it would just be another pretty cool feather in the cap for Bill Belichick.
Yes.
All right, last one real quick is quarterback draft prospect Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward?
Who would I rather? Whose shoes would I rather be in?
Yeah.
I think I'd rather be in Cam Ward. I saw the video of Dion hitting on those two girls on the podcast.
What?
I don't want to see video of my dad hitting on two girls.
I didn't see that.
Oh,
Did he really?
jeez.
Oh.
Well, it's not, I mean, they're sort of hitting on him. And then he's just kind of like, oh, really? I don't know. I don't need to see into that. I don't know what's going on with Cam Ward's family, but as much as I like Shedeur better as an NFL prospect, I think I'd rather be in Cam Ward's shoes.
Yeah.
It's the shoe. The shoe? It's gotta be the
I'll
shoe.
second that.
You didn't see the video?
No. It's a little cringy.
Yeah. Okay. A little bit. I mean, Dion doesn't do anything wrong. It's just like the girls are talking to him, like, oh, what's your favorite color? I think they're doing they're like interior designer or something about fashion.
Is this his own talk show?
No, it's their show on Sirius XM, I think. Okay. Maybe it's his show on Sirius XM. I don't know. It's somebody's show on XM. Yep. And they're like, oh, what color are you into right now? And the girl's like, dark chocolate. And he just he lights up with this big smile, and it kind of goes on from there.
Push,
so you can
Okay,
imagine.
everything we need to know, and then Kurt Warner. Here we go.
It's all coming up on Brock and Salk.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
It sure seems like Geno Smith will be back with the Seahawks in 2025. Two things we heard this weekend that tell us that. First, Mike McDonald's interview with Fox 13.
Geno's our quarterback. I don't understand the conversation.
Tom Pelissero had this to say.
The Seahawks appear to be all in on Geno Smith for 2025.
To me, it's obvious. Geno has to be the guy. You're in a position where you're not going to draft him. You can't still get a quarterback late and hope you develop. But Geno has showed he can win some ball games.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
Hey, Brock Hewitt here for my friends at PCF Group, or People Come First Construction Group, and that's exactly what they did when we made the call a couple years ago. We wanted to redo our outdoor space, wanted to add a deck, an outdoor living, a television, and a kitchen, and PCF Group, wow, they more than delivered. And if you're interested in building a stunning outdoor area like we did, I cannot recommend them enough. Reach out before the good weather arrives, and their schedule, well, it's going to fill up. So whether you're looking for a complete outdoor living space or a very specific project like an underdeck ceiling, deck, patio cover, railings, PCF has you covered. Design now and pay later. In fact, get 12 months, no interest and no payments, and up to $6,000 off and a $1,000 Amazon gift card. Request that complimentary design and estimate consultation today at 206-992-0364, 206-992-0364, or project ideas, explore photos at pcfgroup.com, pcfgroup.com.
Hey, it's Jason Rance. Our local tax expert Greg Nunn wants taxpayers to know the IRS is now going after older cases very aggressively. If you received Form CP-504 from the IRS, do not ignore it. Be proactive and resolve your situation with Greg Nunn, N-U-N-N, None Better Tax Resolution.
I was having trouble getting up and down my stairs at home. And I thought, well, this isn't going to work because how am I going to go to Utah and do some hiking?
When Judy came to Sound Pain Solutions, her knee pain was preventing her from enjoying an active lifestyle. She was diagnosed with osteoarthritis. She tried numerous treatments and was told she should have surgery. I'm Dr. Mark Shelley, a chiropractic neurologist at Sound Pain Solutions. We were able to get Judy back to hiking with our comprehensive, non-surgical, and drug-free treatment.
I think that the Trigenics that they do along with the adjustment, the pressure wave, and the PRP are the best options for joint pain. And I would really recommend it to anybody who is suffering from joint pain and would like to avoid surgery.
Schedule a free consultation to learn if you qualify for our safe, drug-free, non-surgical treatment by calling Sound Pain Solutions or visiting soundpainsolutions.com.
Safety comes first. When money is tight, Buc-ee's has you covered with available financing. For oil changes, wiper blades, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, and factory maintenance, it's Buc-ee's Complete Auto. No appointment necessary and financing's available. Check Buc-ee's.com for the location near you.
Buy 5 quarts of Castrol Edge Full Synthetic Motor Oil and get a $15 gift card after rebate, plus 2 times points at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
We could all use more time. Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. I can see why they call it smart. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
What if your business could see beyond what is and into what can be? What if you could create more impact in every decision? What if you had a partner as visionary as you are? With Bank of America, you get access to our trusted experts, real-time insights, and digital tools. So whether you run a local shop or a global enterprise, you're backed by business solutions to make every move matter. What would you like the power to do? Find out how at bankofamerica.com/banking for business. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank sponsor of FIFA World Cup 2026.
4 Down Territory, going inside the game with Michael Bumpus.
I like this. More quarterbacks should start doing this.
Every day at 11:15 and 1:15 on Bumpin' Stacy.
If you're looking for a new Mazda, go see our friends at Mazda of Everett. With over 790 new Mazdas in stock at 11409 Highway 99 in Everett, they have something for every budget and credit type. Save up to $3,970 on new Mazda CX-5s. Come meet the team and see why they've been Washington's largest Mazda dealer since 2015. Exceptional service and always their lowest prices. Visit in-store or online at MazdaofEverett.com today. MSRP for stock number 26315 is $30,585.
Start the year fresh with Washington Energy's New Year, New Home Sales event. Upgrade and save 15% on energy-efficient Bryant heating systems for your home. Keep cozy and safe this winter storm season with 15% off Honeywell whole home generators. Prepare for spring with 15% off beautiful Anderson windows and reliable Simonton doors. All on sale now for a limited time. It's the New Year, New Home Sales event with Washington Energy Services, bringing good energy to your home.
There she is, founder and CEO. High five.
Dave can't stop celebrating with every business owner in town.
All right, Baker Man, high five.
He's sharing the excitement of big savings with the Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee.
Ooh, up top, bike shop. Yeah.
It's 5 years of gig speed internet.
Quick, high five.
5 years of advanced security.
5 years.
And 5 years of a great rate that won't change.
Yeah, law partners. Chamberlain, Messethorpe, Dubois.
All from the company with 99.9% network reliability. Switch today and get the 5-year price lock guarantee.
5 years!
It's back, but only for a limited time.
Woo!
Powering 5 years of savings, powering possibilities. Comcast Business.
Can't forget you, voiceover guy.
Ah, thanks, Dave.
High five!
Ends 3/9/25. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge for new customers on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
All right, it's about baseball season, Brock. We are just about there. Now that football's in the rear view, baseball will take center stage. We did have one signing today as the hot stove kind of, I don't know, maybe some embers still flaring. Kenley Jansen, the closer, takes $10 million to stay put. So, yeah.
Where was he?
Well, he's going to be back with the Dodgers, I think.
Back with the Dodgers again?
Yeah. Where else would he end up? Yeah. Where else would he be?
Sure.
Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I got that wrong. He's not going to the Dodgers. I saw L.A. and just assumed the Dodgers. He's going to be in the AL West, Brock, with the Angels.
Wow.
So we'll get an opportunity to see some Kenley Jansen, who is, did you know, 4th all-time in saves?
It's been around a while.
4th all-time.
Yeah.
His next up is, Lee Smith. He's 31 behind Lee Smith, a Hall of Famer. So I don't know if Kenley Jansen's going to end up in the Hall of Fame. Maybe he will. But he will be in the AL West with the Angels for 1 year and $10 million. Mariner pitchers and catchers are all reporting this week. They get their first workout on Thursday. Who do you?
Does that mean Garver? Does that mean Garver reports?
Of course.
He's going to be the backup catcher?
I would think that's his role for now. Yeah, absolutely. So, that doesn't mean he won't ever DH, but I would say he's the backup catcher, yes.
Yeah.
So when you get down there, which of the 5 starters you want to go, which pitcher you want to go see?
I mean, that honestly, an hour ago or 45 minutes ago when he went through the best rotation in all of baseball, it is a reminder. As frustrating as many things were to many people this offseason, those 5 are dynamic.
Pretty awesome.
It is the best in baseball, and they're all uniquely different. Right? I mean, Logan's number 1 on my list. He's the most likable. He's the most fun. He's all of that stuff. But, you know, they're all great in their own unique individual ways. And obviously, Bryce and I got a cultural
I was going to tell
connection.
Bryce that you said Logan was the most likable and see what kind of.
Okay, that's fine.
See what happens.
Try to drive a wedge between me and Bryce. Just try.
You know what Bryce has to do? He has to get out to Winthrop, where I was this weekend, the old West Town. I feel like he and his cowboy hats, it's like he'd fit in pretty well out there.
They'd ask him for autograph. You Alan Jackson? You that skinny Alan Jackson?
They might do that. That's true.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
Tremendous numbers for the Super Bowl as Fox gets 126 million who consume the game. 15 of that came via streaming service other than Fox. So Tubi had like 13.5 million. And, that's a number that will obviously continue to grow. We'll get more details today. Halftime show, 131 million, a peak of over 135. So the Super Bowl remains just immensely, immensely popular. Not that that's a huge surprise. It's a American just cultural phenomenon. But every time you hear somebody say, this, that, and the other, just remember it's not
you
true.
Just kind of wonder, right? Like, does the hog get slaughtered? And it just is not. 57 million watched the Bills and the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game. Just to put these numbers into perspective of the ratings numbers of what will come up in the NBA or the NHL or Major League Baseball, of just what they're competing against. I mean, what was it? About 25 million watched college football national championship game. Half.
Yeah.
Half of what watches the AFC Championship and 1/6.
It's just mammoth.
Of what watches the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's just mammoth. Remember you weren't here when we went through all of the top rated television events of the year, and it was like just of 1 year. It was
Salk, MASH. 50 million people watch MASH finale.
Those ones. We're talking about this year. It was like 78 of the top 100 were NFL games.
Correct.
That was it. It was like there were some, and the rest of them were like the election. Like it was pretty crazy just how dominant it really is.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
You want to talk a little mock draft action? We had a mock draft this morning from Field Yates, and he is another one who sees the Seahawks going offensive line. He has them going with, what's his name? Membu.
From Mizzou. Membu from Mizzou. Guard tackle.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Armand Membu.
Thank you.
Here's what he says. The Seahawks will undoubtedly work to shore up the O-line, and I like the fit for Membu. Few players helped their stock as much during the past season as he did. The 20-year-old anchored the right tackle spot for Missouri with legitimate power and tenacity. Though he's just 6'3", he has outstanding length, which keeps the door open for staying at right tackle if Lucas can't stay healthy. Many scouts view him as a guard in the NFL level. Seattle might have a hole there. Yeah, they might. If Laken Tomlinson leaves in free agency. Leaves? Is that the right word? What?
You know what he is? He is choice filet. In a draft that's meat and potatoes, he's not quite USDA prime filet. He'd be choice filet. I also saw DJ, who we'll chat with tomorrow, just tweet out this morning. He's got a starter grade. Last year in the NFL draft, this is relevant because Byron Murphy was the one of ones when it came to D tackles last year. He had last year a starting grade with 12 defensive tackles. This year, 24. I mean, meat and beef and potatoes. Draft coming up in a couple months.
That is everything you need to know.
You know what I'm doing today? I'm smoking some short ribs.
I bet you are.
You want to know why?
I don't.
Because my buddy Benetti is coming over.
Oh, right. He's staying at your house for a few days.
Just a day.
Just a day.
And then he's like, well.
Were you trying to pass him off to, like, fill in for you tomorrow or something? You were like, oh, maybe he'll do the 7 a.m. hour instead of me?
Maybe we'll just walk in and why don't you, Benetti, why don't you do it?
Were you going to have him do it as you? Where, like, he imitates you for the course of a full hour? Or are you just going to make your house guests do your job for you?
Maybe a little both.
It's cool if you stay here, but if you're not paying for a hotel, you're going to have to at least do my job.
You got to do a segment. You can just walk in and be me for a segment.
You only have one
put
headset
this flannel
there, right?
and jacket on.
You don't have a second.
Oh no, I got a second.
Oh
no, I got my Madden. I got to do Madden today. I got a Madden headset.
All right. So he could come in and hang with you.
Possibly, yeah.
Share a mic though, probably.
Yeah. I got my Madden mic. Maybe I'll fire that sucker up.
Oh my gosh, Brock! You've basically turned yourself into an engineer over there.
Pretty much, big deal.
You're like Jacob now. You're like Jacob, our old engineer, your favorite ever. Yes, please stop doing that. Okay. Speaking of great feats of engineering, we have somehow managed to book 2 guests today, both of whom are supposed to be on video. We'll see if we're able to pull this off. It's a new thing here, video. Brock, it's hot. Everybody loves video. And so you can watch our video by downloading the app. Don't forget, right? It's another great way to watch our show. You can see Brock in his Pete Carroll flannel today, gray and black, and the makings of this beard that he's got going.
I don't see anything. Did you notice that? Or did
Only
Brock
when he
bring
gets
it up?
close.
I can't remember.
He's got to get real close. You can see it right on the edges of the chin.
Wow.
Right in the shadow. Yeah, see? See, look at all that stubble there. Yep, there's a lot.
Kurt Warner got a white beard.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can see Kurt. Kurt's going to join us next, and Michelle Smallman's going to join us at 9:30. And my understanding is both are supposed to be on video. So if you are part of the video revolution, which is going to be televised, come join us on video, on the app, or on the stream, or on YouTube, or wherever you find us. And we'll chat with Kurt Warner visually next on Brock and Salk.
The Hot Stove Show, Tuesdays from 7 to 9 p.m.
Have I ever told you how much I enjoy doing the Hot Stove Show? Every day. I mean, this is truly one of the best ways that we have to get to know some of these guys. Long-form conversation. You don't have the pressures of the season. You're not in the clubhouse, right? There's not a hitters meeting or a pitchers meeting to go to. I think we get some of our very best stuff from all these guys, players and coaches, front office members, right here each and every week during the winter.
Stay up to date on the Mariners offseason. The Hot Stove Show, every Tuesday leading up to spring training.
All right, Mike Salk here for Riverside Roofing. Oh, man, the snow came, and it sounds like we may get even a little bit more of it by the end of the week. If you are seeing damage or leaks in your roof, you got to call Riverside Roofing right away. Have them come out and fix it immediately. They've worked with a ton of local homeowners, lots of Seattle sports listeners, and they help keep homes dry and warm through the winter. So if you've got a flat roof, and it's snowing, man, that's especially dangerous. So Riverside Roofing does want to help you clear it off as soon as possible. Call the experts there to clean it up and make sure your roof is ready for heavy rains and everything else you know we're going to get at the end of the winter and into the spring. Don't risk climbing up there yourself. Let Riverside Roofing handle it all for you. It's why Riverside Roofing, just another reason why they are the roofing company you can trust. So let me give you the phone number, 425-949-8252, or again, riversideroofingllc.com. You know they are the roofing company you can trust.
Vivid Seats is your ultimate destination for basketball and hockey this season. With a game-changing rewards program and an unbeatable selection of tickets, they make it easy for every fan to watch their favorite teams and players in action. Catch every one-timer and buzzer-beating 3 live and in person from your favorite seat. Plus, every ticket is backed by a 100% buyer guarantee, giving you peace of mind with every purchase. Don't miss out. Visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Hey, nice job, Pete. I like those clean lines. Fellas, do we have anyone that can get to Greenport today?
At Corey's Landscaping, the staffing plan is in the weeds.
Anthony, we need that leaf blower over here. 3 more new customer requests just came in. Who wants to work some overtime?
He needs to dig up quality landscapers and fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car can be picked up as soon as the next day. Receive a tax deduction and vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Hey, Bill! Got a leak? Need heat? Call Southwest today.
Southwest Plumbing, the one to call.
It's time to go all in at Toyota of Kirkland. All in on the largest savings opportunities on the largest inventory of Tacomas, Tundras, Prius, and the BZ4X. The incredible team at Toyota of Kirkland is all in on your car buying experience. They'll set you up with a test drive and you can take that car home on the same day. Come on down to Toyota of Kirkland and get all in on the best deals with the best inventory. Check out their wonderful showroom today or go all in online at toyotaofkirkland.com.
O'Brien.
Do you leave your car running unoccupied to warm up or stay warm during the winter? Don't do it. Car thieves call those steamers. They're watching for you and they'll steal your car before you know it. Every winter, Washington sees an uptick in auto theft, and a major reason is steamers. Share this information with friends and family. Prevent the theft and keep you and your vehicle safe. Don't get caught with your car running. These tips are brought to you by the Washington Auto Theft Prevention Authority.
Hey, it's Jason Rance. I'm here with our local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn of None Better Tax Resolution. When you're dealing with business owners and the idea that they owe money to the IRS and they feel like they might be letting their staff down and it just spirals out of control.
One thing I see with businesses, it's really tough because they have employees and maybe they're having a difficult time with the cash flow of the business. Then unfortunately, what a business often does is they quit making their payroll tax deposits, which is really about the worst thing you could be doing. I mean, it's a telltale sign if you're doing that. Hey, get someone that can help you kind of look at your business and see if things can be changed so that you can operate your business better and make those payroll tax deposits. Because let me tell you this, the IRS is on those right away.
If you're having trouble with the IRS, you have to call Greg Nunn of None Better Tax Resolution. From stress to success with IRS Solutions. 425-947-1967 or Google NUNN. None Better Tax Resolution.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, you're listening to Brock and Salk.
Weekdays 6 to 10.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
All right, as promised, not just Hall of Famer Kurt Warner, but Hall of Famer Kurt Warner on video? What? Is it real? Is it happening? Oh, my gosh, Brock. It's amazing what we can pull off in this day and age. Good morning, Kurt. Thanks for taking a few minutes with us.
You got it. Good morning, guys. How you
Well,
doing?
when we had Heaps do this, though, it was all his face.
That's true.
Is Kurt such a pro in his own studio that he knows to kind of step back from the computer?
Yeah, he's got a nice background set, too, there.
Look at you, Kurt. Look at you. What a Hall of Famer. Hey, I got a very simple, easy question right off the top. Fill in the blank. Geno Smith is
really good starting quarterback in the National Football League. I mean, to me, it's as simple as that. I mean, I don't think we sit back and say he's in that elite category yet. But I think he's really good. He does a lot of things really well. And so, I've been really impressed and feel like he's played really solid football these last few years as he's taken over as a starter in Seattle.
You use the word yet, so that would imply that it's possible for him to get there. Can you get there in your mid-30s for the first time to that elite level?
Yeah, I think that's one of the questions that's hard to ask. I mean, we've seen, if you'd have looked at, Geno Smith in his early 20s, you'd have said he's got no chance to get there. And, so what he's done and how he's grown and transformed throughout his career to become what he is has shown a whole bunch of growth. Can he get there? I don't know. I mean, I don't know the answer to that. We throw around the word ceiling and what guys can be and become all the time. And the bottom line is we don't know what a guy can become until he shows us that he can become that. And so, I don't know the answer to that at this point in time. I mean, I think, I look at a lot of things. When I watch Seattle's offense, I think it's a tough offense to run. I think they do a lot of stuff down the field and a lot of big throws that have to be made by a quarterback. And, it's not the nature of how a lot of teams play nowadays. And, it puts a lot of pressure on a quarterback to be consistently good down the field and kind of live and die in that world. So you have to be elite with a number of things if you're going to play an offense like that. Again, he's been really good in that offense, but I think it's tough to be elite in that kind of offense. And, so I really don't know, but I think we kind of have a good idea of who Geno is, like what he does well, and what he does as a player. And I think right now he's a really good quarterback.
Well, in a couple hours, they're going to introduce their new offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak, exactly to your point. And I think the reason to bring the Kubiak tree, the Shanahan tree, is that Mike Macdonald said, yeah, that Ryan Grubb, that system and all these shots and everything else is great in college and, provided some big plays, but is not complementary to the way Mike wants to build this thing. So how much different can it be and will it be in this Kubiak kind of system that's now coming to town?
Yeah, I mean, I think it could be, different, but I still think it's going to be built off of kind of running the football and then, leading into the play action and the plays down the field. I think that's what you're going to see. But I do think you're going to see, more kind of heavy run type formations, try to, maybe a little bit, more under center, handing the football off. And the big plays down the field will try to be generated more through like play action and things than strictly drop back, throw it down the field, and have those deep concepts, as much as Seattle has seemed to do over the last couple of years.
So if you are John Schneider and you've got decisions to make this year about re-signing Geno and maybe re-signing DK Metcalf, or deciding that the best path forward is to move on from one or both of those guys to try to reset this thing, what direction do you think you would go with those two?
Guys, I don't know if I have a full grasp of, where they are and their situations across the board. I'm always a believer that if you think you're in a window to win and compete, and you've got a really good quarterback, you sign that really good quarterback, you fill in the pieces that you need around them, and you take advantage of your window. If you don't believe you're in that window for whatever reason, where the salary cap is, who's coming up, all of those things, then I think you have to, kind of look at it and say, okay, what else is out there? Where do we sit in the draft? Where do we think we can go? Who do we think we can get to maybe start a rebuilding process? And so I think that to me is how you always have to weigh it, because you guys know as well as I do, if you don't have a guy that can play the position really well, you don't have a chance. You can't compete against the best teams in the league. And so it always does start and end with that position. And you've got a guy that's shown he can take you to the playoffs. So if you still feel like you're in that mode, I think you try to sign Geno for, a few more years. And then, at that point, as he's getting up there a little bit, you probably start looking at what's the succession plan for Geno. But if you feel like, hey, we're going to lose a couple key pieces and we're still in rebuilding mode with Mike, being here in just his second year and all of that stuff, now I think you have to contemplate it, because we know what goes into signing a good quarterback in this league. We know how much it takes. And if you don't feel like you're in a window to win and you're going to pay that much for your quarterback, it just limits what you can do around that guy.
What age were you in your final years, Kurt, playing?
37, 38 is when I retired.
So Geno will be 35 this upcoming season. How much different to play the position in a different era? They don't get hit the way you got hit back in the day, but how much different will Geno play the position at 35?
Wait, he got
36?
hit? He had Orlando Pace with his covered his blind side. What do you mean hit? It's like one of the greatest left tackles of all time.
Did you not watch us play?
I think I did.
Oh my gosh!
Well, you also had Mike Martz coaching it, so yeah.
I got hit. Yeah, I got hit. Trust me, I got hit. I'm not saying it was because of Orlando's guy. I probably never got hit by that guy, but I got hit. Trust me.
A lot of five-man protection, Salk. A lot of five-man protection.
Yeah, there's a lot of five-man protection.
That's a Mike Martz special.
A lot of times we welcome that blitz and we welcome the hit for what was on the other end. But yeah, definitely we took a few shots in my day. It's funny you asked that, Brock, because I feel like I was a better quarterback down the stretch. I was obviously maybe a little more limited physically down the stretch, but I felt like I was better. I saw it. I understood it. I had all the physical traits in terms of, anticipation and accuracy and all the things that kind of made me special when I played. And so I didn't feel like I really diminished that much as a player later in my career, and I even felt, for me, retiring was less physical. I truly felt like I could have played 4 more years, into my 40s at a really high level, and I also wasn't a physically gifted guy anyway. So it wasn't like, I was physically gifted and then all of a sudden I became not physically gifted and still could play. I was basically the same guy when I got into the league as I was at the end of my career. But I felt like physically, I felt good enough that I could have played for 3 or 4 more years at a really, really high level. I mean, I looked at it too. My second to last game, so my last home playoff game, might have been the best game of my career. And so I was still playing at a really high level. For me, it was more the mental fatigue and anguish, when I was in Arizona, what I was expected to do every week. And, when I played in my last Super Bowl the year before I retired, I weighed 202 pounds, which I hadn't weighed since I was a junior in college, because of that stress and lack of sleep and the pressure that was on. So that was really what affected me more than it was the physical. So as I see these guys now, getting up there in that, in that 37, 38, closer to 40 range, I feel like physically, they're in great positions to play, whether that's how they take care of their bodies now, whether it's the rules of the game and, how they don't get hit nearly as much. But I believe guys can play at a really high level, up into their late 30s, and it's much more consistent now than it probably was, when I was playing or before.
Hall of Famer Kurt Warner with us. You asked about those teams you were on. I did watch them, which is why I'm going to ask you what I think is the easiest question anyone's ever asked you, and that is, shouldn't Torrey Holt be in the Hall of Fame?
Oh, my gosh. Come on, people.
No, Kurt Warner made him. Okay, Kurt made him.
How is Torrey Holt not in the Hall of Fame?
I'm still trying to figure it out. I played with him, so I know how good he is. But even if I didn't play with him, and I just looked at statistically, the level of consistency and the high level that he played at, you know, an all-decade player. I mean, you know, the league's been around for 11 decades, and he was an all-decade player. You know, he's done things that you know, somebody put up, you know, a group of stats for the decade of the 2000s, and where, you know, Torrey ranked, and it was like first, second, first. And you sit back and go, if any player was ranked the best at their position over a decade, to me, they're a lock Hall of Famer, first and foremost. But secondly, to have waited as long as he has and to still not be in is dumbfounding to me. And, you know, one of the arguments that I continually hear, just kind of as I'm asking around trying to figure this out myself, one of the arguments is that he wasn't the main guy on our team. You know, so people, you know, whatever, you could look at Marshall maybe, or you could look at, you know, Isaac, who's already in the Hall of Fame, and say, well, those guys were the number one guys. And so Torrey benefited from being the number two guy. Is kind of an argument that I hear.
Was he the number two guy?
I sit back. What's that?
Was he? I mean, I was sort of curious if you would give us some football one-on-one. What was the role difference between Isaac and Torrey?
There wasn't. I mean, they were, you know, 1-on-1, you know, and we had things designed for both of them. And it wasn't as if everything was designed for Isaac and then, you know, and then Torrey got whatever, you know, was left. Both of those guys had things designed for him. You know, both of those guys, you know, had to get top coverage. But again, I look at it and go, oh, okay. Well, okay, so he wasn't the number one guy. So you're saying the number two guy in an offense was ranked number one in the league over a decade, and you're going to hold that against him because he was the second guy getting the football? Like, I mean, it's just, to me, it's just dumbfounding. Like, that doesn't even make an argument, because if you're the second guy, then you should never even be close to those kind of stats and to that kind of consistency. So I'm as dumbfounded as you guys are. I really don't know the argument at this point on how he is not in the Hall of Fame already, and, you know, how it continues to work out like this year after year, because he was a special, special player.
Salk, who was it with us a week ago, 2 weeks ago, that talked about just the different trees in the NFL right now? That there's a Sean Payton tree, an Andy Reid tree.
I think it was Gary Kubiak, wasn't it?
What was it, Coobs?
It might have been.
And then a Shanahan Kubiak tree. I'm just kind of curious. There's not that many different systems. Like Mike's system's not really in it anymore. Mike Martz, that air raid stuff. If you were to jump into an offense today, Kurt, and say, ooh, I'd really like to play in that system, in that tree. Is there one in the NFL right now that jumps out to you the most?
That's a good question. I don't know if there is one that truly jumps out, because, you know, I look at a lot of, you know, like, I'm not an air raid. I'm not a pure progression type guy. Not a big fan of that. And so, you know, a lot of the passing games with the Shanahans and McVays and that tree, you know, come into a lot of this pure progression type stuff, which I'm not a huge fan of. Yeah, I was only in the West Coast for a short period of time, but was not a fan of the West Coast type system. Now, that's taken a lot of different, you know, turns over the years. So it's not the true West Coast, but the West Coast was so much kind of short to deep. And I was very much a deep to short type player and thinker of the game. And so, yeah, I don't know the answer to that. You know, I love what Ben Johnson does, although he's got a little bit of that pure progression type aspect to it, but he's very much a kind of deep to short, you know, push the ball down the field, have options for shots working down. I don't know what tree that necessarily is. So I look at it more, Brock, that it's less about the tree and it's more about the evolution of specific offenses and what I like about the offenses. You know, I like what the Bengals do with Joe Burrow. I like the schemes that they have and the way they kind of split the field in half and ask the quarterback to see the coverage and find his reads and go through things like that. But I don't see that as a kind of McVay extension. You know, so that's kind of how I look at it more, is I look at different offenses and goes, I like a lot more elements of this offense than this other offense and kind of lean that direction. Although I'm not sure there's one that's, perfect for what I did and what I like to do.
You're such a perfect person to talk to after this particular Super Bowl, because I think there are some elements from each of these teams that match parts of your career. I found myself thinking about Jalen Hurts, who I am just an unabashed fan of. I just love this guy and everything he's been through and how he handled it at Alabama, all of it. I love him. But, he says after the game, well, being a Super Bowl MVP doesn't really change anything for me. I don't know if that's really true. I appreciate that he says it, but having been a Super Bowl MVP, what did that do for you and your legacy?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's a huge, part of a legacy, so to speak. I know we talk about, Super Bowl MVP, and those guys, we get together every few Super Bowls and they have something for the Super Bowl MVPs, and so it's cool. But I think when it comes to a quarterback, I think what it signifies is that you've played your best football in the biggest moment for your team. And so that is, to me, part of a legacy within an organization and a team, is that was the one thing that I always said was, say what you want, regular season MVPs or, number one seed, whatever. I wanted my teammates to know when it came playoff time, when it came the biggest moments, that they were going to get the best version of Kurt, and they could depend on the best version of Kurt. I think what this signifies for Jalen, and not just this one, because I believe he should be a two-time Super Bowl MVP. He should have won the MVP when they lost in 57, because he was the best player on the field in that game. But what it signified, because there's been a lot of questions about Jalen and who Jalen is, and I even still have some questions on who he is as a complete quarterback. Can he carry a team? Is he that quote unquote franchise guy? We know he's a great winner, right? We know that. But what has jumped out to me with Jalen is that even though they haven't asked him to lead this team very often, in the big moments when he's needed to make a play, or specifically when he's needed to make a throw from inside the pocket, he does it. And he does it every single time. Saw it in the first Super Bowl. If you go back and watch that, man, he threw some big time throws in that Super Bowl. But if we just looked at, this run, I'll just give you two plays. NFC Championship game, 14-12, 4th down and 5. They're almost at midfield, a couple minutes to go in the first half. If they don't pick up the first down there, they give the ball back to Washington with 2 minutes to go in the first half, almost at midfield with a chance to take the lead going into halftime. 4th and 5, not only does he throw a 5-yard, he doesn't throw a 5-yard pass. He throws a go route down the sideline to A.J. Brown that he drops on him like a handoff. Perfect throw, first down, sets him up for points, and the route is on. Super Bowl, first drive. We get into 4th and 2, and you're like, oh my gosh, we're at midfield, maybe in your own own end of the field. And they decide to go for it in the first drive of the Super Bowl. Once again, it's not a short dump pass, quick throw, get it out of your hands. He throws a go route down the sideline to A.J. Brown and drops another dime on him that's going to set up their first score outside of the offensive pass interference penalty that is called on A.J. Brown. But those are just a couple examples of, you can say what you want, that he hasn't led this team by throwing for 300 yards and doing that. But when he's been asked to make the big play in the big moments, he shows up and makes that play in the drop back game, throwing the football down the field. And those are the things that I hang on to. Like, to me, he's still got room, to go in terms of proving to me he can be what I call a franchise guy or an elite guy, meaning the guy that when things aren't good around you, you give your team a chance to win because of what you do with your right arm. I still need to see more there. But the thing that he's done early in his career that continually impresses me is how, from inside the pocket, he makes the plays that he needs to make. He makes the throws and the throws down the field to give his team a chance to win and be successful in key moments. And that's what's impressed me the most about this. But I think that, back to the initial part of your question, that's what it signified to me was, hey, in the biggest moments, you played your best football. When I retired, I was fortunate to have like the 3 top passing yardage games in the Super Bowl. And that meant something to me because we were teams that had to kind of depend on my right arm. We were throw first type teams. So to play that well in the biggest moments, it meant something to me that I had to, be that guy, and I was able to be that guy in the biggest moments on the biggest stage, win or lose. That was important to me because it just kind of signified, hey, this is what got us here, and you still were able to perform in those moments. But I think Jalen has performed extremely well in the biggest moments, and that's what it means to me about his legacy in these early stages.
Well, I appreciate the answer. I don't know whether Brock's how he's gonna handle this assumption of right arms. Lefty quarterbacks are people too, Kurt. And
I didn't see it in the Jason Garrett documentary on throwing. I didn't see any lefties in there. So
I don't know why everyone's gonna take shots.
There's probably
at the
a reason for that, Brock.
Kurt Warner, saw Josh Allen, saw Joe Montana.
Just because Tom Moore didn't know Brock was left-handed and when he came into the game for Peyton, didn't even know he had to flip the field around for him.
That's true. That's true. I didn't really know my name either. Kurt, you are the absolute best. Thank you for all the time. Jumping on video. I mean, big time.
Yeah.
Right?
This is awesome.
Be at your best when it matters.
Which Super Bowl hat? Is that the new Super Bowl hat you got there?
Oh, no, that's one of my old school hats.
Oh,
so,
look at that.
We get around Super Bowl time, I got to remind myself that I actually did play this game, and I played in a couple of those big ones. So it's been so long now, Brock, man. It's been a long time since I've been out.
You just played Super Bowls. You played in 3 great Super Bowls.
No, I did.
3 of the best Super Bowls of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always cool when you cover it. But, you do sometimes the further you get away from it, you're like, watch the speed and you watch these guys and you're like, man, did I really play that game? Did I really play in a Super Bowl? So just my little reminder to me that I did play.
Those margins, man. You got to watch some of those games, I would imagine, and be like, man, what if Dyson just stretches his arms out a little bit more? What if Vinatieri misses that kick? Or what if, if Santonio Holmes doesn't come? The margins in those 3 games are minute. It's really, really incredible.
I mean, it is. Yeah, you look back and you say, man, I could be 0-3 in Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Which would be completely different. I could be 3-0 in Super Bowls. And really, the craziest part is that I would have had to do nothing different in any of them. Like, I could have played the exact same way in all 3 of them, not played another snap, and be 3-0 or 0-3. Like, it is. It's crazy, the margins. But that's what it's all about, right? Yep. Teams win championships. And and you appreciate the moments that you have.
All right,
I appreciate you guys. Always good to talk to you. Let me know if I can ever help down the road.
Thank you, Kurt. There you go. And Torrey Holt for the Hall of Fame, please. There we go.
Yes.
There is a Hall of Famer himself, Kurt Warner. That was a lot of fun, man. That was very enjoyable. He's gotten a lot better at this over the years as well, and just really sort of, I think, kind of honed his opinion. He said 1 or 2 things, though, Brock, that I'm going to need you to help explain to me. I need an explanation of a term, and then after that, I've got to play or show you something that Maura sent me as well. So that's coming up, and then we've got another guest. Michelle Smallman's going to join us on video. Yes.
What?
More video.
What?
At 9:30. You got to download the app so that you can watch all these videos. It's Brock and Salk. Seattle Sports on 710.
Blue 88 on Brock and Salk.
Brock, what is your bold prediction for the Seahawks this year?
I was looking at the numbers defensively when it was all said and done.
Every day at 7:45.
Finished in the top 15 in your major categories. I think year 2 with more time on task. Year 2 with a couple additional pieces. Year 2 with everybody basically coming back defensively and hopefully adding a difference maker third corner. This could be a top 5 defense in the league.
Blue 88, answering 3 football questions as only Brock Heward can.
Protein, protein, protein. Everyone is trying to get protein in their diet, but we need fats too. Healthy fat, that is, like the rich, natural peanut and almond butters found at G2G protein bars. Most bars don't have it because, well, most bars aren't real food or refrigerated. Fortunately for you, we aren't most bars. At G2G, you'll find a balanced helping of protein and healthy fat. The fact that they're delicious is just the bonus. They're fast, easy, and perfect for on-the-go families. G2G protein bars. Find them in the refrigerated section at Costco.
I'm attorney Rob Iddens, proud Marine Corps veteran and owner of Warrior Injury Law. We help all types of injury victims like Sean, who was rear-ended in a car accident.
They're just easy to work with. They're fast. I like the fact that he had military service. I can see a lot of Marine in Rob. He's very in charge. Really gets things done, but I didn't have to do anything. He offered me a settlement, had a number in my head was nearly double that. I would refer absolutely anybody to Rob.
If you've been injured, call us at 253-WARRIOR. Warrior Injury Law. Battle tested. Eddie's!
Hey, it's Jason Rantz. Our local tax expert Greg Nunn wants taxpayers to know the IRS is now going after older cases very aggressively. If you received Form CP-504 from the IRS, do not ignore it. Be proactive and resolve your situation with Greg Nunn, N-U-N-N, None Better Tax Resolution.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Seattle will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 206-529-1111. That's 206-529-1111. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Has snow or ice damaged your roof? You need help removing the snow off of your flat roof? Well, call the experts at Riverside Roofing, 425-949-8252, or go to riversideroofingllc.com. Riverside Roofing, they are the roofing company you can trust.
We could all use more time. Amazon Business offers smart business buying solutions so you can spend more time growing your business and less time doing the admin. I can see why they call it smart. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
Right now, get up to a $15 gift card after rebate when you purchase select Superstart batteries exclusively at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Jackson Hewitt makes taxes feel like a yacht rock song.
Breeze, give me my biggest tax refund, please. You, me, and a lifetime accuracy guarantee.
And now get $100 just to try Jackson Hewitt. Does your tax person do that?
Say goodbye to that no guarantee tax guy.
Ready to sail through tax season? Go to Jackson Hewitt and you'll be time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com. Jackson Hewitt makes taxes feel like a yacht rock song.
Breeze, give me my biggest tax refund, please. You, me, and a lifetime accuracy guarantee.
And now get $100 just to try Jackson Hewitt. Does your tax person do that?
Say goodbye to that no guarantee tax guy.
Ready to sail through tax season? Go to Jackson Hewitt and you'll be time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery. Ends President's Day. Exclusively to Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online.
Uh-huh.
I read that black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older, like you, are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Visit WeTalkWeRise.com to learn more. Brought to you by Pfizer.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce, spruce, spruce.
It's Spruce, the new hard-working, worry-free weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people and pets. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Weeds die by the next day. Find Spruce wherever weed killers are sold.
This is Seattle Sports.
Streaming through the Seattle Sports app.
KIRO AM Seattle. KIRO FM HD2 Tacoma. Home of the Seahawks, Mariners, and everything Seattle sports.
Get in the freaking auto!
From the Quantum Fiber Studio, this is Brock and Salk on Seattle Sports.
Brock Ewert is my hero.
Jay Buhner just punched me in the kidney.
We're going to excuse you on the interview.
Doesn't really work that way, Sherm. This is a show that has my name on it.
It kind of does, though.
Now here are your hosts, Brock Ewert and Mike Salk.
Hello! What is a pure progression system, Brock? was an interesting conversation over 25 minutes with the Hall of Famer, Super Bowl winner, Kurt Warner. And he does have just one of the more interesting careers, right? Time with the Rams, Mike Martz system. As you said, it's not really run anymore. But listening to him, as you asked him about the types of systems in the game today, I got the sense, and this is an exaggeration of what he said, but there was almost an element of like, these wussy systems today that just want to dink and dunk. I don't want any part of that. I want to throw the ball down the field. That's what I'm good at.
Yeah, that's a little bit of it. Now,
Right.
you start the career there. I mean, the career started long before that. The story is much
Absolutely.
bigger than
Yes,
that,
I
you
know
what
that.
I'm saying?
Yes, of
Yes.
course. Iowa was it Northern
Iowa,
right?
the Arena League,
Bag
broke.
checker, the whole
yes,
deal.
all of that stuff.
But what does he mean when he says? I didn't want to get into it with him, but I
Sure.
figured you could explain later.
Blue
I don't wanna
right
waste
F
our
short
time.
200 jet slant spacing. So blue right F short 200 jet X slant spacing. That is a pure progression. So you get the formation, you get the little motion. We're going to run a slant in your eyes. 1, 2, 3, boom. You right there. That's your first read. Period. End of story. You're going to then progress from there to spacing over the ball, and then the next one, and then to the back. So it is a boom to boom to boom to boom. You progress.
So you know
through
exactly
that
where your
route.
eyes are going to go throughout the whole play.
That's exactly right. And your eyes and feet are tied together, and you're like almost trained, like in a rhythm. This is the dance. This is the dance. You're going to go here to here to here, here
And
to here
not
to
all
here.
systems are like that. I was sort of under the
No.
impression that all systems
no.
were progression.
No. Some are split field. Some are mirror concept. Some are play action. Right, where you absolutely have a read, and the coverage is going to dictate some of that. But no, that is that especially early on in that West Coast, it was the John Gruden, the Mike Holmgren coming out of the Bill Walsh, and it was so refined. And I had a great conversation in 2020 when I was doing the NFL with Andy Reid, and I had the Chiefs at the end of the year, and he's like, "Oh yeah, these old timers, they hate me now." Because he's taken some of that progression stuff and said, "No, let's play. Let's get on the playground a little bit. I do not want to put you in that
So
box."
in some ways, the pure progression is almost a little bit limiting to the quarterback. Is that what you're saying? Even
Yeah.
though it gives them a mechanical read, it can
That's
sort
right.
of limit some of their creativity.
That's right. Now, the great ones, and obviously the Montanas and the Youngs, and even then, were still athletic enough. And Steve really kind of adapted it because he was so mobile and extending the plays and everything else. But that was always the base structure. The foundation of it is Fox 2 XY hook, right? And if you got an alert on the post right over the top if they're in coverage in quarters, great. Otherwise, Y to X to F, Y to X to F. And you're just kind of learning that dance. Whereas Kurt Warner in that Mike Martz system coming out of the arena ball was what? It was wide open, man. We are 5 out. It is scat protection. We are attacking you. We are getting out. We're challenging you. We're challenging you in that intermediate and down the field. And as he said, kind of deep to short rather than dink and dunk. Now, I do think, though, a lot of these offenses today are and have evolved out of it. That McVay started to push that envelope. Certainly Andy Reid has. He mentioned Cincinnati, Kubiak. You just not.
It feels almost like they're starting to meet in the middle a little
Correct,
bit,
exactly.
right? I mean, because
Yes.
if no one's running a Mike Martz system, because you get your quarterback killed.
Correct.
Right? I mean, nobody's running that.
Yep.
And if no one is really as pure progression as you're saying, it does make sense that there's some, adapting of all of the things that are out there. Regardless, you got to have a quarterback who's committed to studying, committed to learning, committed to growing. And Maura asked us a really good question on the email last night that I thought I would kind of bring here for a couple of minutes about why it seems to be so hard for these teams to find the right quarterback. And some of it does seem to have something to do with just their work ethic. Like, how do you end up with Kyler Murray versus Jaden Daniels? Right? How do you end up with a guy with question marks about whether he'd prefer to play video games versus a guy who have you read this whole story about the VR and all of it? It's pretty amazing what he's done to bring VR to virtual reality to his training. And this was, I think, in The Athletic, so I won't read you the whole thing, but Cliff Kingsbury is going through it all, and then and Daniels explains it. He says basically that it's moving even faster. He can set the VR to be even faster than an NFL game, like 10, 20 times faster.
Wow.
And so almost the idea you get of like swinging a baseball bat with a donut on so that when you take it off, the baseball bat feels light. That's what he's doing with VR. He's speeding up the game to the point where the decisions he's got to make are lightning quick. And according to him, quote, once you get out there, everything slows down. I know this is coming. I've seen this before, and it moved more than 20 times faster in VR. I don't know if that number is an exaggeration.
That
20 times feels a bit much.
A bit fast.
But okay, I think you get the
Even
point.
twice as fast. Yes.
Even 1.5 speed.
Correct.
By the time you slowed it down to reality.
Imagine if we did our show in 1.5 speed. I mean, it'd just be crazy. It was so fast, you didn't even follow it.
Well, a lot of people listen to it.
I thought it was
that
really
way.
impressive. It was something that LSU brought in. And he brought it to Washington and said, hey, I want to use this. And Cliff Kingsbury embraced it. And I guess it's something he gets up at 6 a.m. every day.
Yeah, here's Tracy Wolfson with a little bit more on this.
Jim, everyone we talked to about Jaden Daniels mentioned his preparation. One thing Daniels told us that's really helped him is the use of virtual reality. Every day at 6 a.m. he works with it. All the plays are loaded in with offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury calling them. They can load defensive looks as well. Kingsbury called it a flight simulator for QBs. Daniels told us he started using it at LSU. It's allowed him to get way more reps, and he's seen a dramatic difference in terms of being ready for game time.
More reps, no contact.
Here's the challenge. It works for Jaden and not going to work for the next guy. I mean, it's the incredible challenge of this. David Shaw, I remember this was technology that was out at Stanford. And I think Andrew Luck, or maybe even after Andrew, they'd really bought into it and really believed. And it was like, oh, this is going to be the biggest game changer ever. Like, and there was a lot of money spent and investment there, obviously in the Bay Area and everything. Like, this
on
is going.
VR.
Oh yeah, this is going to change a game. And then it was like, well, it didn't, because for some in their mind, in their processing, it definitely helped. For others, it inhibited, and it was like too much.
Well, that makes sense to me. Everyone learns differently.
That's
but
exactly right.
I guess my core question, because you're around these guys so much, like these college guys, Brock, is that to me, it's more about the time and effort he's putting into it.
Correct.
Can teams do they get a pretty good grasp of that in talking to people, and they'll just draft guys because they're athletic anyway, even if they know they don't have good study habits?
Yes and yes and yes more, I think, on all of that. And history has told us some of that. That is why the Senior Bowl is really so important to these guys, because you can't really fake it there, right? There you really do see, like, who's in the meetings first and who's sticking around. And maybe it's just for a week, but then who processes, right? And it's why Jalen Milroe had such a hard week, and you kind of knew it, because you watched him and you're like, man, there's something just a little bit amiss, both the year before, and then even here comes Kalen DeBoer in this system, and then that week just trying to learn and process and play fast and do all that, and it was really hard. And yet he's going to run a 4.38. He's going to be 225 pounds. He's going to throw the ball 62 miles an hour, and someone's going to go, that's fine. I can work with that, right? And I can adapt that, and maybe they will. And maybe there will be a system, and maybe the light bulb will go on, and maybe there's a.
What's the old? It's that old story. It's in The West Wing, but it's in a million other things as well, right? Have two baseball players, and have them both run to first base. They both get there at the same time, but one guy has great form, one guy has terrible form. Who do you want? You want the guy with terrible form, because teach him how to run right, and he's going to be much faster than the other guy.
That's right.
And I think NFL teams get suckered into that. Well, this guy's just got an upside potential with their athleticism that we can't find elsewhere. And I get it at some positions.
Yep.
But quarterback?
That's right.
I'm with Maura 100%.
Yes.
Like, as usual, Maura and I see this exactly the same way. You got to find a hard worker. You got to find the guy who really is going to do the most to get you to the top. That's like mandatory.
I will tell you this too. You know what I'm going to be very intrigued with in 10 days, 12 days when we get down to Peoria, Salk, right along these lines with the virtual reality. I'm going to be very intrigued about that pitching machine. That does not seem to really help.
How do you know?
Has it helped the last couple of years?
Maybe it has.
Are you sure?
Maybe they've been worse without the Traject machine. You know who was a big fan of the Traject machine? Victor Robles. I told you that story earlier about Robles being, or maybe you weren't here when I was telling the story about Robles, who kept saying, like, come on, Skip, put me in. Like, these guys aren't hitting. I can hit. You know what he was doing that whole time? Going to the Traject machine in the back, facing that starting pitcher and being like, look, I'm crushing the ball. So I don't know. You like say that.
That's virtual reality, like on steroids, right? It's all virtual until that ball actually does come out, and then you actually have to hit it. I don't know. I'd just be kind of curious to see why. Does every team now have that in baseball?
I don't know.
Has it become a really cool tool, or is it like too much? It's too overload. Like I can't, and for each their own, right? I mean, I think to Maura's point, all of us learn a little different. All of us process a little bit differently. but there is no substitute for that hard work.
We've got another video guest coming up in 20 minutes, Michelle Smallman from the morning show on ESPN Radio. That's on Sportsmanlike. She's awesome, and we'll get her sense of the Super Bowl and maybe even a little baseball talk with her because she's a St. Louis person. She's like a big baseball person as well. So we'll do that with Michelle coming up in 20 after everything you need to know next.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
I know that there are a lot of people that see DK Metcalf as being maybe a bloated salary, maybe your best trade weapon, maybe the easiest way to add offensive line help and moving on some of those resources. But for Mike McDonald, and I'm sure for Clint Kubiak, what you see is a weapon.
There's something that can happen to a receiver when he's put in a new offense. He can be rejuvenated and motivated and say, you know what, I'm going to try to take my game to the next level because I'm excited. And I think that is an approach that he should and will take.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. And now save 50% on the new Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. Plus free home delivery. Ends President's Day. Exclusively at a Sleep Number store near you. Learn more at sleepnumber.com.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online. I read that black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older, like you, are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Visit WeTalkWeRise.com to learn more. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Mornings can start feeling the same. Wake up, brush teeth, go to work. But with breakfast from Wendy's, it's like, wake up, brush teeth, Baconate with a breakfast Baconator. Roll with the sausage breakfast burrito. Buddy it up with a honey buddy. Or get seasoned with seasoned potatoes. And then go to work. Sorry. When you're ready for a fresh wake-up call, gotta be Wendy's.
At participating U.S. Wendy's during breakfast hours.
Safety comes first. When money is tight, don't neglect maintenance on your vehicle. Keep it safe. At Bucky's Complete Auto, we have you covered with available financing. For over 50 years, Bucky's Complete Auto has been servicing and repairing cars and trucks with modern-day technology and good old-fashioned customer service. There's a Bucky's just about everywhere for oil changes, wiper blades, brakes, tire rotation, tune-ups, and factory maintenance. No appointment necessary and financing's available. Check Bucky's.com for the location near you.
I've always said, the car sales in the 1980s and 1990s, earned the rep that we have today. The concerns that consumers have because of what has happened in our industry in the past, they're warranted. It's our job to show them that that's not how business is done anymore, right? It's very different business. It's much more transparent. There's much more information that's available to people. And we're much more customer focused than I think the car industry was, 20, 30 years ago. I'm more focused on providing good customer service and relationships because I think if you take care of people, money will always come. So I think just the philosophy and the focus for us has changed, where I was constantly chasing a paycheck and now I'm just constantly trying to take care of customers and employees because I know if I do that, then my paycheck will take care of itself.
The LJ way is the Lee Johnson Auto family.
The John Schneider Show.
Every Thursday until draft day on Wyman and Bob.
Listen live Thursdays at 4 p.m. or watch the interviews on the Seattle Sports YouTube page.
Just Cause Legal knows the value of standing up for what's right. If you've been involved in a car crash, Just Cause Legal is here to fight for you with an aggressive team dedicated to securing the compensation you deserve. Just Cause Legal makes the process as painless as possible. Don't wait. Time is critical. Get the help needed today. Visit justcauselegal.com or call 253-859-8899 and meet your legal lifesavers. Just Cause Legal. Fighting for you.
Swedish Cyberknife has been serving the Pacific Northwest with innovative and compassionate care since 2006. The Cyberknife system, with advanced tracking technology and robotic design, keeps the radiation on target even with tumor or patient movement. Being able to precisely and accurately deliver radiation makes a difference in terms of controlling cancer and reducing the risk of side effects. And the treatment is completed in only 5 sessions, lasting less than an hour. But the technology is only half the story. The skilled and dedicated team of providers and caregivers match the technology by providing unparalleled, personalized treatment plans and compassionate care. They are committed to patient-focused care, partnering with the patient and their families. The results speak for themselves. Patient surveys consistently give Swedish Cyberknife the highest of rankings. When diagnosed with prostate cancer, consider treatment with Swedish Cyberknife. Swedish.org/cyberknife prostate. Treat prostate cancer with Swedish Cyberknife.
Do you leave your car running unoccupied to warm up or stay warm during the winter? Don't do it. Car thieves call those steamers. They're watching for you and they'll steal your car before you know it. Every winter, Washington sees an uptick in auto theft, and a major reason is steamers. Share this information with friends and family. Prevent the theft and keep you and your vehicle safe. Don't get caught with your car running. These tips are brought to you by the Washington Auto Theft Prevention Authority.
Need to know.
15 minutes past every hour with Brock and Salk.
Here's what you need to know. Up first.
Just about baseball season, Brock. Pitchers and catchers going to report this week. First workout will be on Thursday for the Mariners. We'll be heading down there not next week, but the week after. So the last week in February of, February 24th through the 28th. I can't wait. I saw a text earlier that just said, look, what did the texter say? Basically, today's the last day for complaining. Once pitchers and catchers report, no more complaining, and it's all about the upside and trying to be positive and thinking about where the season could go.
Does that go to the texters too, like Andrew and Elma?
It was a texter, so I don't.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I don't know.
How about you, Andrew and Elma, who said, "Oh, Brock doesn't like VR. You know why? Because his interpupillary distance is too wide." Andrew, this is the last day you could take shots at me with my wide-spaced eyes like that.
Right.
All right?
By next Monday, he's going to have to take shots at you for whatever it is you're growing on your chin.
That's true. You can do that. But don't you ever talk about my interpupillary distance again.
Okay, yes, we'll make sure that doesn't happen. Looking forward to being down there, though, and looking forward to seeing the pitchers specifically. We talked pitchers earlier. Catchers are the other part of this. I feel reasonably secure with the thought that at this point, Cal Raleigh is what he is, and he's going to just keep doing that. Could we see a better Mitch Garver this year? I mean, I know it seems sort of crazy based on what you saw last year, and he's going to go into this season as the backup catcher. But if he hits,
hope so. Do you want to know why?
Could he end up as your regular DH the way he was supposed to last year and hitting in the middle of the order? Yes, he could.
He could. You know what I'd really love? I'd really love for him to hit so that Cal can actually get some off days.
Right.
Because as much as Cal has been, well, like Cal Ripken, have been an absolute Iron Man better than any other catcher the last couple of years and playing through so many injuries, he could be even better with a little bit of rest.
Well, and also just does it take a toll on him long term in his career? I mean, all of those things, they just add up. We know this. So, yeah, Mitch Garver is sort of an interesting key figure this year. Is it as important as whether Julio hits? No. But if you could get the production you thought you were going to count on from Mitch Garver, it would obviously be a huge deal, and he'll be reporting with the catchers this week.
Here's the second thing you need to know.
It was fun talking Super Bowl memories, etc., with Kurt Warner, and people certainly watched this Super Bowl, that's for sure. 126 million of them consumed the game. Streaming numbers continue to grow. Tubi had it, so 15 million of streaming. And then the numbers for the halftime show. I mean, it's really amazing how many people do consume that. 131.2 million estimate for the halftime show.
And when you put all of those things into context, I mean, truly.
Yeah.
You talk about baseball being the great pastime. The NFL is America's game. I mean, it's just for all of the others that are chasing it and how far away they are.
Don't you think it's weird that it hasn't caught on more elsewhere? Not that it hasn't caught on at all. Obviously, we've seen a couple players
around the globe.
Yeah, I mean, and I know they're now making a real effort to make that work, and in Europe, in Australia, in South America. I mean, like they've gone way out of their way to start that process in the last few years.
Yeah.
Is it just the expense of the game? And that's obviously got to be a part of it. But man, like, considering how freaking popular it is here,
yes,
it is odd that it's not more popular elsewhere.
It is. It's just the numbers component, the team component of it, right? It's not a hoop and a ball. It's not a wall and a soccer ball. It's not,
I know.
right? It's just...
It takes coaching. But we've managed to do it here. Yeah, I'm just always been a little surprised that in the years and decades of its popularity.
Well, it's not for not trying. They're going to play in Melbourne. They're going to play in Brazil. They're going to play in Germany. They're going to play in England.
And the Seahawks could have one of those games, right?
Dublin.
So they're playing
Pittsburgh. You want to go to Dublin again?
It could be Dublin and it could be Melbourne. Right, both they're playing the teams that are playing in both.
I think
of those
Brady
cities.
said they don't really like to do division games, so it's the Rams that are going to be in Melbourne. So there's a shot though for Dublin.
I mean,
you want to go back?
Yeah, I like Dublin.
It's not that English bar we got to take out.
No, definitely not that one.
Here's the third thing you need to know.
I only want to go if we can go during the big rugby cup that we were there for the last time.
Seven Nations or whatever that is.
Clint Kubiak is going to speak today for the first time at his press conference. He'll also join Bump and Stacy later today as well. What do you want to see from Clint?
I'm just kind of curious, presence-wise. Right? Is his presence really similar to Mike McDonald? My gut and my instinct is yes. Kind of some of that mid-30s. Been around it forever, pretty humble. It's a hard game coming off of a pretty humbling year down there in New Orleans. Or, is he one of those guys that may not have the biggest, booming stature in presence? But, ooh, gosh, I like that. Ooh, I kind of like that. Ooh, makes you think a little bit as you walk away from him a little bit like McDonald does as well. So, yeah, it'd be nice. Be introduced to everybody there at 11 and then jump on with Bump and Stacy after. In our new revamped studios.
Pretty good. That's everything you need to know. I'm looking forward to seeing that on
That'll
video.
Be on video
as well.
too.
Man, wow, quite a day for video. It's Brock and Salk, Seattle Sports on 710 seattlesports.com. And yes, the Seattle Sports app. And let me give another reminder to not just download the app, because honestly, if you haven't downloaded the app, I'm really having difficulty understanding why.
643-463.
Well, just use your brain. Download the app. I mean, there's so many great opportunities to use it. Whether it's to listen to Mariner games, whether it's to watch our videos, to read our content, all of it. It's all there. Download for later for on demand.
And by the way, it's a pretty easy app to manage.
To navigate.
Yeah,
it's really not very hard.
Pretty easy.
It's pretty simple. It's about as simple as it gets.
Gigi does it.
Gigi does?
Oh yeah, Gigi's on the app.
So does Grandma Jane. So
right.
yeah, I mean, like,
if Gigi and Jane do it, let's go.
Seriously, that feels like something you guys should be able to handle. So once you download it, though, you can also leave us messages for Here's the Thing. Thursdays, 8 a.m. Usually you got to get it in by Wednesday after the show. So you got a little more than 24 hours here. But
I'd like to see Brad come back. I feel like Brad's taken way too many shots.
I think last week you
put him in the weird zone, and I did not appreciate.
Well,
that.
he's texted a lot of weird things or sent a lot of weird things. What do you mean?
Come on, Brad. Come on, Brad.
Pretty weird.
It got a little uncomfortable.
I think what you're doing is putting Maura in a weird spot because Brad's definitely said some weird things.
Okay,
yeah.
Come on, Brad. Normalize. Come on.
There you go. If you could get Brad to normalize, then that would be a huge step in the right direction. But not just that. Anything you hear over the course of the week that you want to respond to, whether it's from us or in the sports world or anything that you think we need to know about, please just leave us a quick voice message by using Here's the Thing. It's a little button on the app that allows you to communicate with us, and then we'll do it. This says, Salk, you don't even have it downloaded. That's not true. Of course I have it downloaded. What are you talking about? You don't think I have the Seattle Sports app? You're insane. Here it is. Look. Hold on, I'll hold it up. So if you're watching, you can see. There it is. Download. Of course I've got the Seattle Sports app. Don't be crazy. Of course I've got that app. If you do have it, or if you download it right now and you want to watch on video, you can watch as we interview Michelle Smallman from Unsportsmanlike, who's going to join us next. It's Brock and Salk. Seattle Sports on 710 and the Seattle Sports app.
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
It sure seems like Geno Smith will be back with the Seahawks in 2025. Two things we heard this weekend that tell us that. First, Mike McDonald's interview with Fox 13.
Geno's our quarterback. I don't understand the conversation.
Tom Pelissero had this to say.
The Seahawks appear to be all in on Geno Smith for 2025.
To me, it's obvious. Geno has to be the guy. You're in a position where you're not going to draft high. You can't still get a quarterback late and hope you develop. But Geno has showed he can win you some ball games.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
All right, Mike Salk here, and by the time Sunday was over, I think everybody was ready for a cleanse, right? Maybe it was the 7-layer dip, the bags of chips, wings, pizza, everything else that people consumed at their house, at my house, at watch parties all over. Well, luckily, Sunday is a cheat day. It's built into the Eastside Weight Loss Clinic plan, no big deal. And it means that this week I'm right back to it, and I'm not feeling sluggish, and you shouldn't feel that way either. 15 minutes. That's all it takes. Just do a phone consult with them this week while you're sitting in traffic or maybe driving to pick up your kids like I do. And then you'll find there's no dieting or counting calories, no boxed or packaged fake food, no pills, no injections, no surgery, no side effects. No, this is a plan that's all about healthy, quality, tasty, real food with great recipes. This plan works. It's natural. You lose weight while still looking like yourself, albeit younger and slimmer. In fact, made my lunches last night for the week. Put together this like Italian meat sauce that I'm going to throw on some cauliflower rice, and it is awesome, like legitimately good. Can't wait to go home and eat some lunch today. Dr. Coogan and Eastside Weight Loss Clinic have helped over 4,000 people in our area lose up to a pound per day, and that includes me. Go to eastsideweightlossclinic.com. Dr. Ryan Coogan, D.C. Results may vary.
Well, this week's First Mark Challenge victory goes to my buddy Richard. Richard, why did you call First Mark Insurance?
The lady I'd been using for a couple of years left, and I had no representation. I heard the advertisements on the radio, and I just said, I got to do this. So I did, and I'll tell you, it's been happy days ever since then.
Were they able to save you money, Richard?
Yeah, it saved me about $3,500 is all.
Wow. Wow.
But I also picked up some other things. I got a personal umbrella because I've got a rental house in Idaho as well.
So what do you tell others, your friends, your family, your people you trust?
You need to call First Mark because they have top-notch customer service. Most companies offer customer no service nowadays. First Mark has the most top-notch customer service I've ever experienced, bar none.
Richard did it. My family did it. You got to go do it. It's totally free. Take the First Mark Challenge. See how much money they can save you and how much better your coverage will get. Maybe you will be our next First Mark Challenge victory. Just go to firstmarkinsurance.com.
Endless hours of research, seeking referrals, dozens of calls. Hiring the right attorney can be a challenging process during an already difficult time. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains.
In Washington State, Tom, there are thousands of attorneys to choose from. Referrals and online research can be helpful, but discovering the right attorney requires a conversation. It can be hard to identify integrity and authenticity without that interaction.
So, what do you recommend?
We encourage anyone looking for personal injury representation to call for a free consultation with our team before making a decision simply based on referrals or online research. Accident victims need an attorney that listens, demonstrates honesty, and is genuinely understanding of their unique circumstances. The care, attention, and preparation that our firm provides throughout the case mirrors the effort involved when taking on the insurance companies.
Save time and avoid mistakes after an injury. Contact the caring and compassionate team at Pendergast Law.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
Hey, let's throw a party this year for the big game.
Oh, great idea. But first, we should get a new TV. One of the top-rated brands, Samsung, LG, or Sony.
Okay, I'll start shopping on the internet and then head over to the Warehouse Club.
Well, but if that's all we do, we'll be sorry.
Why?
Because the best deals on those top-rated TVs are at video only, not online or at the club.
Video only?
Yep. We can save up to $500 if we shop smart.
Or we'll be sorry.
Subscribe to the Seattle Sports YouTube page to find new and exclusive content from your favorite shows and personalities daily. Just head to YouTube, search Seattle Sports, and click subscribe.
Bring on the sunshine with a trip to see your Seattle Mariners. Come to sunny and warm Peoria, Arizona for another great year of spring training baseball. There's no better time to wind up at the Peoria Sports Complex where you can see all your favorite Mariners up close. Spring training in Peoria has plenty of sunshine, warm temperatures, and the best seats in baseball. It's family fun for all ages. Book your trip today. Support your Seattle Mariners in Arizona for another exciting spring training season. Get your tickets at peoriabaseball.com.
I just had Asset Roofing come out and do a full inspection on my roof because I wanted to be proactive and handle any small problems before they became big problems, and they were extremely professional with their communication and recommendations. You really need an expert on your side, and Asset Roofing is on mine. Allow them to work for you, too. You can find out more at AssetRoofingCo.com. That's AssetRoofingCo.com.
Certified work that's never in doubt. Asset Roofing, excellence is on the house.
It's time to go all in at Toyota of Kirkland. All in on their commitment to quality, innovation, and durability that makes Toyota of Kirkland certified pre-owned and used vehicles the best in the market. When a product is made better, it lasts longer, and Toyota of Kirkland is the place to be to go all in on your next used vehicle for that reason. With a large inventory of certified pre-owned and used vehicles with incredible savings, why not visit their wonderful staff and beautiful showroom today at Toyota of Kirkland or online at toyotaofkirkland.com and go all in on your next car.
Are you constantly dealing with a runny nose, allergies, congestion, sinusitis, or postnasal drip? Hey, it's Dr. Ryan Stern of the Stern Sinus Center. Rhine Air is a simple, non-invasive procedure that significantly reduces your postnasal drip and stuffiness. We're proud this year the Stern Sinus Center was just named a nationwide center of excellence. We're also excited to welcome another allergy surgeon and ear surgeon to our practice. Schedule your appointment in Auburn or Federal Way or go to sternsinus.com.
From the Quantum Fiber Studio.
This is Brock and Salk
Weekdays 6 to 10.
on Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
All right, just a little while left here in the Brock and Salk Show. We're going to talk to Michelle Smallman in just a couple of minutes from the tremendous morning show that ESPN has put together before us, Brock.
We'll actually have her on mic, right? Like Evan last week, we didn't have the mics on. We weren't recording.
Right.
He was kind of the trial run, right?
Yeah. She's another one, though, much like Evan. I mean, again, after all the years after Mike and Mike kind of dissipated, they just went in a lot of different directions trying to figure out that show, right? And they tried a lot of TV people, a lot of random ex-athletes. Like, oh, it'll work. They're big names. And it just never really clicked. Some of those shows are better than others. Some are okay, but I really like what they're doing now. They do have one athlete, and Chris Canny, who's excellent, I think, by the way.
Except his trash take last week. About
that wasn't a good take. That wasn't. But that's okay. I don't mind a trash take now and again. But Evan and Michelle are both longtime radio people, and Michelle was a producer in Bristol and then went back to host in St. Louis for a long time, hosting mornings there on one of the big sports stations in St. Louis. She's a great baseball person, and they brought her back to Bristol for, let's see, it won't let her join.
What? Here you go. You talk all that noise about video this.
I know. Video this, video that.
Look at me. Look at me here. Look at me there. And we're going to get everybody on video. And then all of a sudden, she can't.
All right, Maura, I guess we'll just have to call Michelle. We may not have any video capability. She's getting some sort of
maybe Kurt's
an error
still on.
Message.
Maybe Kurt's still on that same link.
Maybe. I think it has a camera or microphone availability issue. Maybe her computer, although she's probably going to come on and be like, I don't know, I do this all the time. It always works. So I don't know what the deal is, but we can just call Michelle and we'll talk to her without video. What a huge disappointment that will be for all of us. Very sad. Very, very sad. You know what I want to ask her about is Nolan Arenado, because that thing is like reaching desperation time. Like, he desperately wants out. All he wants to do is get out of St. Louis, and it's just not happening
because
for him.
They're not contending well enough?
Yeah, and I think it's just sort of reached that point where he's just like, everything is just sort of broken, and they just kind of need to not be together. But, like, the clock is ticking on all that, and it's, like, nothing has come together. I Googled him yesterday because I knew I wanted to ask Michelle about it, and I was like, man, I hope he didn't, sign somewhere or something over the weekend while I wasn't paying attention. And so I just Googled the name, and every news story was like, things reaching a breaking point, everyone getting desperate. Like it ratcheted up the intensity on that whole story. So,
And do we think in any way, shape, or form?
I mean, he's got a no trade, so he can choose where he wants to go. You're still waiting to see what happens with Bregman, right? And the latest on Bregman
But in
seems
Seattle,
to
it's
be
a no-go,
Boston,
right?
Detroit, or Chicago.
Yeah.
Don't you assume that he goes to one of those other two places? If right? I mean, it just feels like that's how this ends up. I don't think the Cardinals are going to trade him to the Cubs. But if he goes to Boston, could he go to the Tigers? He'd be a good fit with the Tigers.
Yeah.
Bring some veteran leadership to a team of mostly young players. That'd be a good fit. That's actually probably his best fit, to be honest.
I think the Tigers are still kind of a dark horse for Bregman.
Mm-hmm.
I know that their manager absolutely loves him, and obviously Bregman and Morris want a long-term deal. That's not, I don't think, going to happen in Detroit, but I think that would be a.
But if he wants to go, just get his value back, wouldn't you go to Boston? It just seems like that wall would be the perfect fit rather than trying to hit in Detroit. All right, here is Michelle Smallman. I'm sorry the video situation didn't work out, but one of the hosts of the Unsportsmanlike show on ESPN Radio, which has been tremendous. Michelle, how are you?
I'm doing well, guys. It's great to talk with you. Thanks for having me on. And sorry about the video. I stayed at the studio so that I would have a good Wi-Fi connection, but classic me, can't figure out technology, so I apologize for being tardy.
Are you not a technology person? You don't strike me as somebody who would have those kind of problems.
Oh, no. I am notoriously bad at technology. I don't think I've ever used Microsoft Excel in my entire life.
Wow.
I'm the person that had to Google how to put up an away message on my email. It took me like a year to get into my company email. It's just, I'm a disaster when it comes to stuff like that.
All right.
How was New Orleans?
Well, as you can hear in my voice, it got the best of me. It was amazing. New Orleans did such a wonderful job hosting the Super Bowl. I haven't been to many Super Bowls over the past decade, but I've been to a handful. And other cities are really spaced out, so it makes getting around a little bit more challenging. New Orleans is very condensed. A lot of the places that you need to get to are walkable, and they just have the best food and music and places to go out, and the vibes are right, and the people are so welcoming. I thought they did an A+ job. We had such a wonderful time.
So now that it's over, we get the debates, and you got a great debating show with a lot of fun people to debate with. Where are we with Mahomes? Was there a lot of premature Mahomes crowning last week, and where does that story go from here?
Well, I don't know if there was premature crowning so much as it was looking at his entire career and the body of work he's been able to compile and giving him the benefit of the doubt. When we were doing our analysis leading up to the game, I kept saying to the guys, I want to pick the Eagles so badly because top to bottom, they're the better roster. They are a dominant team, and I would not be surprised if they won this game. But I've been burned not going with the Chiefs in the past because even when they look like they're not as formidable, Patrick Mahomes always finds a way. So even though top to bottom, the Eagles roster was better, the Chiefs have the advantage at quarterback and at head coach. Andy Reid is obviously aces when he has a long time to prepare. Plus, as somebody that has covered Steve Spagnuolo in the past, I don't want to pick against him in a big game either. Probably the best big game defensive coordinator that we've seen in the modern era. And so as much as we wanted to go with the Eagles, we ended up as a show collectively picking the Chiefs just because we can't go against 15 until we get a reason not to. And boy, did the Eagles give us a reason not to. So now I don't think the debate is really centered around Patrick Mahomes and the end of his reign of terror, as some people here at the network, I believe it's Dominic Foxworth who said that. We're not saying that it's over, but if anything, I expect Patrick Mahomes to now have a chip on his shoulder, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs are right back here in this position next season.
Well, Michelle, when you jump on with all the markets that you guys are on, including ours before our show, I'm sure you're asked about the quarterback in those markets. So I'm not going to compare Geno Smith to Patrick Mahomes. That would be tomfoolery. But when it comes to Geno Smith, I'm curious your national perspective. When it comes to Geno Smith, how close is he to Jalen Hurts?
That's an interesting question. I don't know if it's particularly close because when I look at Geno Smith, even though he's been relatively effective for the Seahawks, I don't know if they necessarily look at him as the long-term answer. When we talk about Geno Smith and the Seahawks here on the show, whenever we talk about potential quarterbacks that could be on the move. We always kind of wonder and inquire about what are the Seahawks going to do? What are the Seahawks going to do with Geno Smith? Whereas with Jalen Hurts, even though there was debate about him and maybe where he is in the hierarchy of quarterbacks, I think given his past performance in the Super Bowl and the way that you could argue that he played toe-to-toe, if not better than Patrick Mahomes in that Super Bowl, even though the Eagles ended up losing, we felt like he was going to be the guy moving forward. And he's settled a lot of debates, certainly, with this victory because he doesn't have to do everything that some of the other quarterbacks do. Jalen Hurts doesn't, but he showed you that he can beat you a variety of ways and that all he cares about is winning. It's not about those individual accolades.
So
I'm interested to see what you guys think about Geno and what you think the future holds for him.
We don't necessarily have the same opinion.
No, you gave
each other.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard relatively effective. I don't know if that's a ringing endorsement. It's RE. It's very, very fair, and it's what I kind of want to ask you. I mean, we're so close to this, Michelle, as you can imagine. As a former quarterback, I think I'm, get even minutely closer to some of that in some regard. And it's always fun to hear a national voice that's a little further away from it, kind of evaluating it in totality and relatively effective. So if he's relatively effective, is that the 15th best quarterback? Is that the 20th best quarterback? Is that, boy, you guys should really move on and try to find that next chapter at quarterback? Where would you stand in that regard?
Or is it, hey, if you put all the right pieces around him, could he take you to a Super Bowl and surprise everybody?
Yeah, I went with relatively effective because when I think about Geno Smith's Seattle Seahawks tenure in totality, he obviously is much better than we expected him to be there, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I still don't know if, to steal from the great Charles Barkley, if he's the bus driver in Seattle or if I would view him as the bus driver moving forward. You could make the argument for him in the future, but when I think about the Seahawks, I don't necessarily think that you probably feel as confident in him as you would want to. So, yeah, from a national perspective, the way we view him is definitely not at that first tier or second tier, but probably a tier 3 guy. When I think about the first tier, first of all, it's still, even though he lost in the Super Bowl in very dominant fashion, we still say Patrick Mahomes, draw a line, and then there's everybody else. When we even do our power rankings here on the show, we call it the challengers to the Chiefs because they've just been on such a different tier themselves. But I wouldn't put him in the Lamar, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and now you probably make the argument Jalen Hurts is on that tier after going to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years and winning one, and he's a Super Bowl MVP. And in that next tier, you have guys like Jordan Love, Matt Stafford's an interesting case. But anyway, you know what I mean. So I would probably put him on that tier 3. And if you really want to be a Super Bowl contender, you probably have to look elsewhere for the future.
How good was that Philly team?
Oh, they were absolutely monstrous. We kept calling the Kansas City Chiefs Goliath, and they went in there and they bullied Goliath. They were completely dominant. They were so physical. They were dominant on both lines. They have so many great weapons. They were incredible, and I don't expect them to go anywhere anytime soon. And for as much business as we probably give Nick Sirianni about being the head coach, you have to give him his flowers as well, because to get all of those guys to buy into a team first agenda, to be able to build that culture, we talked a lot about Nick Sirianni after the collapse last year, and we posed the question, what does he really do well? He delegates a lot to his coordinators, and we see them being, incredibly effective. But what is Nick Sirianni's role in all of this? Well, he proved that we need to stop questioning him, and we need to give him the credit that he deserves for being able to implement the culture and the identity of this Eagles team. And Howie Roseman, what a magician. My gosh, everything that Eagles front office has been able to do in adding pieces to the team, I still think that he'll probably make some interesting moves this offseason. They were awesome, and I expect them to be right there again next year.
Okay, I got 2 final questions for you. One personal,
okay.
one personal, one professional. You want personal or professional? Which one do you want first?
Let's go professional.
Okay, professional.
Let's keep it professional.
Because I don't know if people care about anything personal. So
they do. On this show, they do. Favorite guest you had on your show in Radio Row last week?
Ooh, that's a good question because we had a lot of really wonderful guests.
Oh, Evan told us all about him. We had Joe Montana. We had Yeah, he was really excited.
Yeah.
Threw it right in our face.
Can I say, as the great Tony La Russa used to say, tied for first? Because I have 2 that I can't choose between.
That's fair.
Okay, great. Thank you. One would be Eli Manning, because getting to sit there with him the night that he would find out whether or not he was inducted into the Hall of Fame was really special, and I can't believe he didn't get in.
Really?
But also to get his perspective on this matchup I thought was incredibly unique, because he was the Giants team that did slay the Goliath, not once but twice in the New England Patriots. So getting his perspective on what the Eagles needed to do, I thought just as far as analysis was concerned heading into the game was really awesome. And then from a different perspective, Kenny Chesney joined us on Friday, and Chris Canty, my co-host, was talking about the night before the Super Bowl, how Tom Coughlin assembled the team and gave a little speech, and he was talking about how everything in their life led up to this moment, and he played a video, and it was set to a Kenny Chesney song, and it had photos of every single member of the team as kids to remind them of where this journey started and that they were playing for so much, including the little kid that had that dream. And so to get to see CeCe tell Kenny Chesney about how his song impacted them winning was really cool, because Kenny Chesney talked about how, you create art and you put it into the world and you hope that it touches someone. And to see his reaction to that was really special. And plus, he invited us to go see his show at the Sphere in Las Vegas after the interview was over. So that had to be like the big win of the week for us as in sports and like that. We're trying to figure out a way now to take Kenny Chesney up on this offer and get to Vegas.
Well, when he says when you say invited you, like you're his guest for the show, or like he was like invited you to buy tickets and come to the show?
No, invite us to be his guest.
Oh, my gosh.
I asked him about the question because I was researching him the night before, and he's going to be the first country act to have a residency at the Sphere. And I've never been, but I've heard such wonderful things about it. So I asked him, you've done 1 million concerts in your career, but this Sphere is a completely new environment and a different way of producing a show. What's that like? And he's like, oh my gosh, you guys have to come. We'll set it up. And then we were like, yeah, maybe we'll broadcast from there. That'd be so cool. He's like, I'll come to set. I'll do the show with you guys. I'll get up early. And our boss just happened to be there with us. And we were like, Justin, who's our boss, can we make this happen? And he was like, yep, we're on it. So I'm hoping that we get it done, because that would be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Yeah, that song was The Boys of Fall. It's an 8-minute song. And it's a tearjerker. It's a good one. It just, brings you right home. Okay, personal question. Best thing you ate and drank in New Orleans?
Ooh, great question, because there were so many.
I get paid to ask great questions. I mean, that's what I get paid to do. Yes.
That's right. It checks in the mail. So I didn't drink any alcohol the entire time I was there. I was getting up at 2:30 in the morning, and that's brutal enough. I don't need to add a hangover on top of that.
True.
So I didn't have any of the classic New Orleans alcoholic beverages like the Hurricane or the hand grenades. I can't speak to those. Sazerac. Yeah, it's a good one. So the best thing I drank was New Orleans style coffee. I don't know if you've ever had it, but it has this wonderful chicory flavor to it. It's such a vibrant and dynamic cup of coffee. And as somebody that has many cups of coffee a day, man, that stuff was like rocket fuel. It took me to the moon, which was awesome. So I would say that. And then the best bite I had was either the classic beignets from Cafe Du Monde, which just absolutely hit, or I had this blue crab fritter at this hotel bar we went to for lunch one day called the Carousel Bar, and it was dynamite. It was so good. So I would have to say one of those two things were probably the best things I ate.
Solid.
Where's Nolan Arenado end up?
Oh, that's a great question, but I don't think it's with the St. Louis Cardinals.
No, it doesn't sound that way.
I'm kind of surprised that we're still at this point, this fork in the road between the organization and Arenado, because I think both parties have recognized that moving forward, it would be beneficial if they sever that relationship. But I don't know where it goes from here, because the Cardinals were hoping to unload him this winter. He obviously has his preference of where he will go. So, I mean, right now, I guess I'd have to still lean towards the Red Sox, but the fact that everyone's heading to spring training and getting ready to start the season and we're still wondering where he's going to end up is quite interesting to me.
Michelle Smallman is phenomenal. I love the new morning show. We told Evan about that last week. I was just talking to Brock about how great it is. I think that they put radio people
and
baseball people, but radio people on a radio show as opposed to trying to borrow from other mediums and try to make it work on radio. I love the chemistry. I love the conversations. I love the debates. I'd love to have you back, but not if you're going to keep spewing this Eli Manning Hall of Fame nonsense, because that's just crazy talk.
Right.
No chance.
Or
Eli
if you
Manning
can't come on
should be a
video,
Hall of Famer.
Michelle, you got to figure out the video.
Obviously, those two things are going to be major essentials for getting you back on here. But phenomenal show and great guest work, and we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much for having me. We'll dive into this Eli Manning thing later because I know you guys have to run and I want to get your opinion on it. But I promise if you have me back, I will figure out the video.
All right.
Or at least I will have my social media manager figure out the video.
There you go. There's Michelle Smallman from Unsportsmanlike on ESPN Radio, the morning show that precedes us. And she's a lot of fun. I've known her for a little while and since before she was on that show. And I was super, super excited when she got that gig. 206 mentioning the Vieux Carré, one of my favorites. Yes, French Quarter drink. The Vieux Carré.
Oh. You know what happened to Mike Heward on the second hurricane in 2001?
The hurricanes will get you.
Not good.
Yeah.
Not
You
good.
want to stay away from the hurricanes. They're too sweet. There's too much, like, you got to go for the little bit more subtle drink while you're in New Orleans. I do recommend a Vieux Carré. Those are kind of awesome.
Do you listen to the Boys of Fall? Do you know that Chesney
Yeah, I don't
song?
really, no.
What? Oh, it's a good one.
I don't know.
sent
I
it
don't know
tomorrow.
any.
Yeah.
I don't know any Kenny Chesney songs.
Maybe tomorrow is all Kenny Chesney day.
If Kenny
Maybe we
Chesney
bump back
walked
with
into
Kenny
the room, I wouldn't recognize him.
If Kenny Chesney walked in the room without his cowboy hat on and his glasses, you would not recognize him.
Even
at
if he
all.
walked into the room with his cowboy hat and without glasses, I wouldn't recognize
And in
him.
fact, in a picture that I saw in Peyton's house years and years ago back in Indy.
Oh, is he the one who did the commercials with Peyton?
Yeah, has he done? Probably.
That's
And
Brad Paisley.
Yeah, that's Brad Paisley.
The one where Peyton was-
Nationwide?
yeah, Nationwide. That's not him?
No, this is Chesney.
I love when you guys try to convince me that country
this is
singers
so-
aren't all the same
This
person.
is so good.
Like, there's some difference between Brad Paisley and
We
who
talk
was this
about
one?
you. This is Chesney. We talk about youth sports. We talk about football.
Yeah.
You talk about the Boys of Fall right here. Like, if this doesn't bring a tear to your eye, if you get a little wispy watching Cecily play hockey,
Yeah.
listen to this song. It's 8 minutes
Do I
about your
have
car
to?
ride home. Yeah, it's about 8
minutes?
minutes. Yeah, it's about 8 minute song on your car ride
If
home.
you think that I could listen to 8 consecutive minutes of country music, you're out of your mind.
This isn't even country music.
What is it? Just garbage?
This is a life ballad.
This is straight garbage.
This is the essence of football.
This is the worst type of garbage.
Oh, watch your mouth.
This is such unbelievable garbage.
Yeah. Anywho, back to Kenny Chesney.
Is this music designed to make somebody take a pen and stab it into their ear?
When I saw a picture
awful.
of Chesney without his hat and glasses, who is the guy in Ghostbusters, the gatekeeper? Who's the little guy?
Rick Moranis?
Yes, I thought it was Rick Moranis. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. You and Rick Moranis, because he's a tiny little guy, Chesney.
Of
I mean, he
course.
does his curls and he
There's
wears
nothing
his
Brock
cutoff
likes
shirt.
more than to talk about how small
Yeah,
various
yeah,
singers are.
I mean, I was almost going to ask Michelle, is he smaller in person than you imagine?
He was
But-
married briefly to Renee Zellweger.
Oh, there's a lot of conspiracies about that.
Oh, there are?
Oh, yeah.
Like what?
I'm not even going to say. It's
You don't even
inappropriate.
know. Oh,
I
they're
do-
inappropriate?
I do absolutely know.
They weren't even married a full year.
No.
Very brief.
Yeah, maybe even a month.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't
Wow.
even know if it lasted a month. So, no, there's a lot of rumors with that one, Salk, and a lot of conspiracies.
Do you know how tall he is?
Whatever they list him at, he's not that.
He's listed at 5'7", which
Thank
is
you.
pretty short. You think he's
So-
shorter than 5'7"?
I think he's barely 5'7", if that. I think that's probably in cowboy boots.
That's better than who's the pitcher that you kept calling little.
Little Tommy Malone, who was like
Yeah,
6'2".
he's 6'1".
Little Tommy, he's little Tommy.
Little Tommy Malone was like
that was
6'2".
more of the stuff he had. He had little Tommy Malone stuff.
Okay.
There not a lot of stuff there to him. Yeah, so they list Chesney. See, told you he's a little guy. Thank you.
5'7". Yeah, I mean, for the rare time,
I'm
you were
right.
actually right about somebody being short instead of just taking random shots at normal-sized humans.
What size is this this new guy that they signed? This that was going to do some platoon at first and second.
No, he's not too big.
Is he dipping?
Solano?
Yeah.
No, he's not too big, Donovan Solano.
He's not too big.
No, you're going to look at him and be like, that's not a first baseman.
Is he Urias?
That's
Is
what we
he-
call a second baseman or maybe a third baseman.
5'8" or 5'9", depending on what you look at, and 210.
Yeah. You're going to look at him and be like, you're going to play what position now?
Like I did with Urias last year.
Yeah.
Like what? What?
Except he's going to be playing some first base. You're going to be a little like, whoa, I don't know. And especially if Polanco decides to start launching balls to the moon because his arm's not that great from third base, you're going to wonder why you've got such a short guy
There's
over at first.
My little guy. Solano.
Yeah.
My little guy. Over
Yeah, that's going to be a question mark.
Little Dono. Little
That'll
Dono.
be a little bit of
All
a
right.
question mark, I think, over the course of spring
What a fun
training.
Tuesday. What a fun little Tuesday.
It was good until you ruined it with whatever that was you called music you were playing. God, that
Boys
was garbage.
of
All
Fall.
right.
And
The
you're
Boys
gonna
of
listen
Fall?
to it for the final 8. You got an 8-minute drive home, right? Be perfect for you.
You think I'm going to listen to that on my ride home?
Bring me back to my days in Puyallup, North Thurston. Thank you to our guest, by the way. Didn't even thank our guest for coming in.
Andy?
Thank you, Andy.
I should thank Andy.
Yeah.
Andy seems like a man's man.
Does he have a beard?
Not really.
No? Okay.
No. Not like you. He doesn't have some grayish fuzz around the sides of his chin.
Big DJ will like my beard tomorrow?
I don't think so, no. I don't think he will. Not at all. Stick around for Bump and Stacy. They are coming up next, and they will have Clint Kubiak. After what feels like months of learning about this guy, we're finally going to get to hear from him. So stick around. That's coming up. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Until then, the Hey
Barn.
See everybody.
Get to the chopper!
Seattle Sports, your home for Bump and Stacy.
I know that there are a lot of people that see DK Metcalf as being maybe a bloated salary, maybe your best trade weapon, maybe the easiest way to add offensive line help and moving on some of those resources. But for Mike McDonald, and I'm sure for Clint Kubiak, what you see is a weapon.
There's something that can happen to a receiver when he's put in a new offense. He can be rejuvenated and motivated and say, you know what, I'm going to try to take my game to the next level because I'm excited. And I think that is an approach that he should and will take.
On Seattle Sports and 97.3 FM HD2.
As devastating wildfires continue to impact California, the nonprofit Team Rubicon has activated its Emergency Operations Center at its Los Angeles headquarters. From the start, Team Rubicon volunteers, also known as Gray Shirts, have been working closely with emergency management officials. Team Rubicon CEO Art Delacruz has more.
While Gray Shirts do not actively fight wildfires, they are positioned and ready to ease the burden on first responders by educating survivors and addressing other critical needs to mitigate further damage.
Team Rubicon has provided logistical support, distributed supplies, and is preparing for the next phase of response.
These efforts will continue for weeks, months, and even years ahead as Los Angeles continues to come together.
Team Rubicon is celebrating its 15th anniversary this year, serving over 2.9 million people